People fall for the calm they feel around you. People do not always fall in love with beauty, words, or excitement. Sometimes they fall for the way their body stops fighting when they are near you. This is one of the most overlooked parts of attraction. A person may not understand why they want to hear your voice, sit beside you, or stay longer in your presence, but their nervous system understands before their mind does. Calmness can become emotionally powerful because many people live in a constant state of pressure. They are used to proving themselves, explaining themselves, defending themselves, or waiting for disappointment. So when they meet someone whose energy feels steady, gentle, and unthreatening, something inside them begins to soften. They are not just enjoying the person, they are enjoying who they become around that person. This is why calm people can feel quietly addictive. They do not need to perform for attention. They do not flood the room with noise. They make others feel safe enough to breathe, speak slowly, and stop pretending. In love, this kind of safety can be more powerful than charm, because charm excites the mind, but calmness touches the body. The emotional pull becomes stronger when someone realizes they do not have to shrink, rush, impress, or protect themselves around you. Your presence becomes linked with relief. Your voice becomes linked with peace. Your attention becomes linked with being accepted. And once a person associates you with inner stillness, they may begin craving your presence without knowing why. They are not only falling for you, they are falling for the rare peace they feel when they are with you. Familiar pain can disguise itself as chemistry. Familiar pain can feel like attraction because the nervous system often confuses what is known with what is safe. This is one of the quietest traps in love. A person may meet someone who makes them anxious, uncertain, or emotionally hungry, and instead of seeing danger, they feel a strange pull. Their heart races, their mind obsesses, and their body mistakes tension for connection. This happens because the brain recognizes patterns before it recognizes truth. If someone grew up around inconsistency, distance, criticism, or emotional unpredictability, those feelings can become familiar. Later in life, when a romantic interest gives mixed signals, disappears, returns, withholds affection, or makes love feel like something to earn, the person may feel intense chemistry. But what they are feeling may not be deep love. It may be an old wound recognizing a familiar rhythm. This kind of attraction can be powerful because it activates hope. The person does not just want love, they want the story to end differently this time. They want to be chosen where they once felt ignored. They want to be valued by someone who feels difficult to reach. The emotional high comes from chasing relief, not receiving peace. That is why familiar pain can be so confusing. It feels alive, it feels urgent, it feels meaningful. But real love does not always arrive with panic, guessing, and emotional exhaustion. Sometimes the strongest pull is not the soul finding home, but the nervous system returning to what it already knows. The danger is that people may call it chemistry when it is actually repetition wearing the mask of destiny. Feeling understood creates faster connection than being impressed. Feeling understood creates a faster connection than being impressed because admiration touches the surface, but understanding reaches the hidden places. A person may enjoy your beauty, confidence, talent, money, humor, or intelligence, but those things do not always make them feel emotionally close to you. They may respect you, notice you, or even desire you, but connection begins when they feel that you can see what others keep missing. This is why understanding can become so powerful in love. Most people move through life feeling partly unseen. They explain themselves to people who do not listen deeply. They smile while carrying thoughts they cannot easily say. They get praised for what they achieve, but rarely understood for what they survive. So when someone finally listens with patience, remembers the meaning behind their words, and responds to the emotion beneath the sentence, the bond forms quickly. Being impressed creates distance because it can place someone on a stage. Being understood creates closeness because it lets them step down and become human. A person does not have to perform when they feel understood. They do not have to decorate their pain, exaggerate their strength, or hide their confusion. They can breathe. They can speak honestly. They can feel safe inside their own truth. This is why one deep conversation can sometimes create more attachment than months of shallow attraction. The mind begins to think, "This person gets me." The heart begins to relax. The nervous system begins to trust. And once someone feels understood by you, they may start returning to your presence again and again, not because you impressed them, but because you made them feel less alone inside themselves. Emotional relief can feel like love after loneliness. Emotional relief can feel like love after loneliness because the heart becomes hungry for anything that feels warm, steady, or close. When someone has spent a long time feeling unseen, untouched, unheard, or emotionally forgotten, even a small amount of attention can feel powerful. A simple message, a soft voice, a little consistency, or one person finally asking how they really are can awaken feelings that seem deeper than they may actually be. Loneliness changes the way people experience connection. It can make ordinary kindness feel rare. It can make basic attention feel like devotion. It can make someone believe they have found love when what they are truly feeling is relief from emotional emptiness. The body relaxes because it is no longer alone for a moment. The mind becomes excited because someone has finally entered the silence. The heart starts attaching because the pain has found somewhere to rest. This is why people sometimes bond quickly with someone who arrives during a lonely season. The connection feels intense, not always because the person is right, but because the loneliness was heavy. When someone becomes the first light after a long darkness, it is easy to mistake their presence for destiny. The danger is that relief can hide reality. A person may ignore red flags because the attention feels better than absence. They may accept less than they deserve because loneliness made any closeness feel valuable. They may call it love when it is actually the nervous system thanking someone for easing the ache. Real love can bring relief, but relief alone is not always love. Sometimes it is just loneliness finally exhaling through another person. Slow attention often feels more intimate than intensity. Slow attention often feels more intimate than intensity because it does not rush the heart into performing. Intensity can be exciting. It can come with long messages, fast promises, strong emotions, and sudden closeness. But sometimes, intensity overwhelms more than it connects. It creates heat quickly, yet it may not create safety. Slow attention works differently. It enters quietly. It studies gently. It notices without forcing, listens without interrupting, and allows trust to grow at a natural pace. This kind of attention feels rare because most people are used to being consumed or ignored. Some people come close too fast, wanting access before understanding. Others stay distant, giving only pieces of themselves. But slow attention feels different because it says, "I am here, and I am not trying to rush you." That message can touch someone deeply, especially if they are used to love feeling pressured, unstable, or demanding. Slow attention makes a person feel valued beyond the moment. It remembers small details. It waits for the real answer. It hears changes in tone. It does not treat vulnerability like entertainment. It gives someone the feeling that they are not being hunted, tested, or used for emotional excitement. That is why it can feel more intimate than passion that arrives too quickly. Intensity often asks for reaction. Slow attention creates permission. It lets someone open without fear of being swallowed. It lets silence exist without punishment. It lets emotions unfold without needing to become dramatic. And when someone feels patiently noticed instead of urgently desired, the connection can sink deeper. They begin to feel safe, not just wanted. People attach to those who quiet their inner chaos. People attach to those who quiet their inner chaos because peace can feel like rescue when someone has been living inside emotional noise for too long. Many people carry silent battles that no one sees. Their thoughts run ahead of them. Their fears speak louder than reason. Their past keeps touching their present. They may smile, work, laugh, and act normal, but inside, they are exhausted from managing storms they rarely explain. Then someone enters with a different energy. They do not add pressure. They do not demand constant performance. They do not make every conversation feel like a test. Instead, they bring steadiness. Their presence feels like a room where the noise becomes softer. Their voice slows the mind. Their patience makes emotions feel less dangerous. Their consistency gives the heart something stable to lean on. This is why attachment can form quietly and deeply. The person may not even realize what is happening at first. They only notice that they feel better after speaking to you. They feel less tense when you are near. They feel less alone with thoughts that used to trap them. Over time, the brain begins to connect your presence with relief. That kind of bond can become powerful because people do not only remember who excited them, they remember who helped them feel safe inside themselves. They remember who calmed the panic without making them feel weak. They remember who made life feel less heavy, even for a moment. And once someone starts seeing you as the place where their inner chaos becomes quiet, your absence can feel louder than your presence ever did. Small details, remembered, can deepen attraction. Small details remembered can deepen attraction because they make a person feel quietly chosen. Anyone can notice the obvious things. Anyone can compliment beauty, laugh at a joke, or respond to what is directly said. But when someone remembers the small things, the forgotten things, the things mentioned once and never repeated, it creates a different kind of emotional impact. It tells the heart, "I was listening when you thought you were just talking." This is powerful because most people are used to being heard only on the surface. They speak, but people rush to reply. They share, but people forget. They reveal tiny pieces of themselves, and no one seems to hold them carefully. So when someone remembers their favorite drink, the story behind their fear, the song they said calms them, or the date that matters to them, it touches a hidden part of them. Attraction grows because memory feels like emotional presence. It proves that attention was not empty. It shows that the person was not just waiting for their turn to speak. They were collecting meaning. They were paying attention to the quiet details that make someone feel human. This kind of remembering can feel more intimate than a grand gesture because it is personal. A big surprise may impress someone, but a small remembered detail can soften them. It makes them feel studied in a gentle way, not controlled. It makes them feel important without being placed under pressure. And once someone realizes you remember what others overlook, they begin to feel seen in a way that is hard to forget. Attraction deepens because being remembered feels like being valued. People love who they become around you. People love who they become around you because love is not only about how they see you, it is also about how they experience themselves in your presence. A person may be attracted to your face, your voice, your confidence, or your kindness, but the deeper bond forms when being near you brings out a version of them they secretly missed, needed, or never knew was still alive. This is why some connections feel different without being easy to explain. Around certain people, someone becomes softer. Around others, they become funnier, braver, calmer, more honest, or more hopeful. They may notice that they speak with less fear, laugh without forcing it, or share thoughts they usually hide. Your presence becomes a mirror, but not the kind that exposes them harshly. It reflects back a version of themselves that feels lighter, safer, and more real. That feeling can become emotionally powerful because many people live disconnected from who they truly are. Life teaches them to be guarded, practical, tough, busy, or silent. Then someone comes along who makes them feel alive again without demanding a performance. Suddenly, they remember their tenderness. They hear their own laughter differently. They feel their heart opening in places that had become quiet. This is where attachment deepens. They may think they are only falling in love with you, but part of what they love is the person they become when you are near. They love their calmness around you. They love their honesty around you. They love their courage around you. And once someone connects your presence with the return of their best self, leaving you begins to feel like losing access to a part of themselves. Quiet consistency beats dramatic passion. Quiet consistency beats dramatic passion because the heart eventually gets tired of emotional fireworks that do not know how to stay. Passion can feel powerful in the beginning. It can arrive with intense words, deep promises, sudden closeness, and moments that make everything feel larger than life. But when passion has no stability behind it, it can leave a person feeling hungry, confused, and emotionally unsafe. Consistency works differently. It does not always announce itself loudly. It is the message that comes when expected. It is the tone that stays respectful during tension. It is the care that does not disappear after a bad day. It is the person whose actions keep matching their words until the heart slowly stops doubting them. This kind of love may not feel dramatic at first because it does not activate panic. It does not make someone chase, beg, guess, or prove their worth. Instead, it builds trust through repetition. The nervous system begins to understand this person is not here only when it is easy. This person does not vanish when emotions become real. Dramatic passion can make someone feel wanted for a moment, but quiet consistency makes them feel chosen over time. That difference matters. Being wanted can excite the ego, but being chosen calms the soul. It tells a person they are not just a mood, a craving, or a temporary desire. And once someone experiences steady affection, the loud kind of love can start feeling less romantic and more exhausting. They begin to understand that real passion is not always the storm. Sometimes it is the person who keeps holding the door open after the storm has passed. Mystery grows when someone reveals themselves slowly. Mystery grows when someone reveals themselves slowly because the human mind is drawn to what it cannot fully understand at once. When a person gives everything away too quickly, their stories, wounds, opinions, desires, and deepest fears can lose the tension that makes curiosity breathe. But when someone opens gradually, piece by piece, they create space for wonder. The other person begins to lean in, not because they are being denied, but because there is still something meaningful to discover. This kind of mystery is not about playing games or pretending to be unavailable. It is about emotional pacing. People often feel more attracted when they sense depth, but cannot reach the bottom immediately. A quiet answer, a thoughtful pause, or a small glimpse of someone's inner world can become more powerful than oversharing everything in one moment. Slow revealing works because it gives the brain time to attach meaning. The mind starts filling in spaces. It wonders what shaped you, what you love, what you fear, what made you gentle, what made you careful, and what parts of you are still hidden. Curiosity becomes emotional involvement. In love, this can deepen attraction because discovery feels personal. Each layer revealed feels earned, not casually handed out. The person begins to feel trusted when you share more, and intrigued when you hold some things with quiet dignity. And when someone does not rush to explain every part of themselves, their presence can feel richer. They become a story still unfolding, a silence with weight, a person whose inner world cannot be consumed in one sitting. That slow discovery can make attraction last longer than instant exposure ever could. Patience makes attraction feel unforced. Patience makes attraction feel unforced because it gives the heart room to open without feeling chased, trapped, or pressured. Many people are used to connections that move too fast. Someone wants answers before trust has formed. Someone demands vulnerability before safety exists. Someone tries to turn interest into commitment before the emotions have had time to breathe. When this happens, attraction can begin to feel like a burden instead of a natural pull. Patience changes the entire emotional atmosphere. It tells someone, you do not have to rush to prove what you feel. That message can be deeply powerful, especially for people who have been pressured in love before. When someone allows connection to grow slowly, the other person feels respected rather than captured. They feel invited, not cornered. They feel wanted, but not consumed. This is why patience can quietly increase desire. It removes fear from the connection. The person does not have to protect themselves from being overwhelmed. They can notice their feelings honestly. They can enjoy the small moments without being forced to define everything too soon. The attraction becomes cleaner because it is not mixed with panic. Patience also creates trust because it shows emotional control. A patient person does not need to rush intimacy to feel powerful. They do not force closeness to calm their insecurity. They understand that real connection grows through timing, safety, and repeated presence. And when someone feels free to come closer at their own pace, the desire often becomes stronger. The heart begins to move willingly, not defensively. That is when attraction feels natural, steady, and deeply personal. Intensity is often mistaken for intimacy. Intensity is often mistaken for intimacy because strong emotions can make a connection feel deeper than it really is. When something moves fast, when messages become constant, when feelings rise quickly, and when every moment feels urgent, the mind may assume something rare is happening. The heart starts thinking, this must be real because it feels so powerful. But power is not always depth. Sometimes it is only emotional speed. True intimacy is built through safety, honesty, patience, and repeated trust. Intensity can skip those steps and still feel convincing. It can create the illusion of closeness before two people truly know each other. A person may share personal stories too quickly, make strong promises too early, or create emotional dependence before the relationship has any real foundation. This can feel romantic on the surface, but underneath, it may be unstable. The danger is that intensity activates the nervous system. It makes the body alert. It creates excitement, fear, hope, and obsession all at once. That emotional rush can feel like love because it fills the mind completely. The person becomes hard to ignore. Their silence feels loud. Their attention feels like relief. Their distance feels painful, but this does not always mean intimacy exists. It may only mean the connection has become emotionally consuming. Real intimacy feels different. It does not need to overwhelm you to reach you. It grows through being known slowly, respected consistently, and accepted honestly. It allows calmness to exist without making love feel weaker. When intensity is mistaken for intimacy, people may chase emotional fire and ignore the absence of safety. They may think they have found depth when they have only found a storm that knows how to feel meaningful. Being seen without judgment creates closeness. Being seen without judgment creates closeness because most people are tired of hiding the parts of themselves they think will make others leave. They hide their fears, their strange thoughts, their old wounds, their insecurities, and the emotions they cannot explain. They learn to present the acceptable version of themselves, the one that smiles at the right time, speaks carefully, and never reveals too much pain at once. So when someone sees them clearly and does not punish them for it, something powerful happens. The body relaxes. The heart stops bracing. The mind begins to believe that honesty may not always lead to rejection. This is where closeness begins, not in perfection, but in the rare experience of being known and still treated gently. Judgment creates distance because it teaches people to edit themselves. They start choosing safer words. They hide their real reactions. They become careful instead of connected. But acceptance invites them to come closer. It says, "You can be human here." That message can reach places compliments never touch. In love, this kind of safety becomes deeply attractive. A person may forget what you wore, what you said, or how the day began, but they will remember how it felt to be honest around you. They will remember not being laughed at. They will remember not being made small. They will remember the quiet relief of revealing something tender and still being held with respect. And once someone feels seen without judgment, they begin to associate your presence with emotional freedom. They no longer feel alone inside their truth. That kind of closeness is hard to fake, hard to replace, and even harder to forget. Love grows when ordinary thoughts feel valued. Love grows when ordinary thoughts feel valued because intimacy is not built only in dramatic confessions or unforgettable moments. Sometimes it is built in the simple feeling that someone cares about the small things moving through your mind. A random idea, a quiet worry, a childhood memory, a strange observation, or a simple opinion can become emotionally important when another person receives it with attention instead of indifference. Most people are used to having their ordinary thoughts dismissed. They speak, and others interrupt. They share, and others respond without truly listening. They mention something small, and it disappears into the air as if it never mattered. Over time, this teaches people to keep certain parts of themselves hidden, not because those parts are dark or shameful, but because they seem too small to be cared about. So when someone listens to these ordinary thoughts with genuine interest, the heart notices. It feels like proof that connection does not require performance. The person does not have to say something impressive, painful, funny, or important to deserve attention. Even their simple inner world is welcome. This creates a quiet kind of attachment. They begin to feel safe speaking freely. They stop filtering every sentence. They start sharing the thoughts they usually keep to themselves because your presence makes those thoughts feel worth hearing. And that is where love begins to grow in a deeper way. Not because every conversation is intense, but because even the small conversations feel meaningful. When someone makes your ordinary thoughts feel valued, they are really telling you that your inner life matters. That feeling can become more intimate than praise because it reaches the part of a person that only wanted to be heard. The brain bonds through repeated comfort. The brain bonds through repeated comfort because love is not formed only by one powerful moment. It is often built through small emotional signals that happen again and again until the mind begins to trust them. A kind voice today may feel nice. A kind voice every day begins to feel safe. One gentle response may be appreciated. Many gentle responses become something the nervous system starts depending on. This is why comfort can become such a strong force in attraction. The brain pays attention to patterns. It remembers who made you feel calm after stress, who stayed soft when you were overwhelmed, who answered with patience when you expected irritation, and who made difficult emotions feel less lonely. Over time, those repeated experiences create an emotional association. The person is no longer just someone you like. They become linked with relief. Repeated comfort works quietly because it does not always feel dramatic. It may come through consistent messages, warm eye contact, honest reassurance, respectful silence, or the simple feeling that you do not have to defend yourself around them. Each moment teaches the body, this person is safe, and once the body believes that, attachment can grow faster than logic can explain. This is why people often miss someone who made them feel emotionally comfortable, even if the relationship was not filled with grand romantic scenes. The brain remembers peace. It remembers where tension dropped. It remembers where the heart did not have to prepare for pain. When comfort becomes repeated, it turns into trust. When trust becomes familiar, it turns into attachment. And when attachment becomes emotional habit, the person can begin to feel like a place the heart wants to return to. Safe silence can feel deeply romantic. Safe silence can feel deeply romantic because it proves that connection does not always need words to survive. Many people are used to silence feeling uncomfortable, tense, or dangerous. Silence can make them wonder if something is wrong, if they are being judged, if the mood has changed, or if they need to perform to keep the other person interested. So they fill the space with talking, explaining, laughing, or pretending to be more comfortable than they are. But safe silence feels different. It does not feel like distance. It feels like rest. When two people can sit together without pressure, without awkwardness, and without the need to entertain each other, the bond becomes softer and deeper. The body begins to understand that love does not always have to prove itself through noise. This kind of silence creates intimacy because it allows both people to simply exist. No one is demanding a performance. No one is testing the connection. No one is forcing emotions into words before they are ready. In that quiet space, the nervous system relaxes and the heart feels accepted without effort. Safe silence can be more powerful than constant conversation because it shows comfort at a deeper level. Words can impress, distract, or hide discomfort. But silence reveals whether peace truly exists between two people. If the quiet still feels warm, then the connection has moved beyond surface attraction. And once someone experiences silence with you as calm instead of empty, they may begin to crave your presence in a different way. Not for entertainment, not for distraction, but for the rare feeling of being peacefully understood without saying anything. Emotional presence feels rare and powerful. Emotional presence feels rare and powerful because many people are physically close but mentally unavailable. They sit beside you, talk to you, message you, and spend time with you, yet their attention is divided. Part of them is somewhere else, thinking about themselves, waiting to respond, checking their phone, protecting their ego, or listening only enough to reply. So when someone is truly present, it feels different immediately. Real presence is not just hearing words. It is noticing the feeling behind them. It is sensing when someone's voice becomes softer, when their smile is hiding tiredness, when their silence is asking for gentleness instead of pressure. This kind of attention makes a person feel emotionally held, even without physical touch. That is why emotional presence can become deeply attractive. It makes someone feel like they are not disappearing while they speak. They do not have to repeat themselves to matter. They do not have to become louder to be noticed. Their emotions are met with patience instead of being rushed, fixed, dismissed, or turned into an argument. In love, this kind of presence creates a powerful bond because it touches a hidden hunger. Many people are surrounded by noise but starving for real attention. They want someone who can stay with them emotionally, not just remain nearby. They want to feel that their inner world has somewhere safe to land. And when someone gives that kind of presence consistently, they become unforgettable. Their attention feels like shelter. Their listening feels like proof. Their calm focus makes the other person feel chosen in a world where most people are only half there. A calm voice can become unforgettable. A calm voice can become unforgettable because sound reaches the nervous system before logic has time to explain it. A person may forget the exact words you used, but they may remember how your voice made their body feel. When someone speaks with steadiness, warmth, and control, it can create a sense of safety that stays in the mind long after the conversation ends. This becomes powerful because many people are used to voices that rush, criticize, pressure, interrupt, or emotionally overwhelm them. They have heard anger disguised as honesty, silence used as punishment, and sharp tones used to control a room. So when they hear a voice that does not attack, does not panic, and does not force them to shrink, something inside them begins to relax. A calm voice can slow someone's thoughts. It can make hard conversations feel less dangerous. It can make a person feel guided instead of judged. In love, this matters deeply because the tone of a voice often reveals emotional safety before actions fully prove it. A soft but steady voice tells the heart, "You are not in danger here." This is why certain people become emotionally memorable. It is not always because they said something extraordinary. Sometimes, it is because their voice became associated with peace during a moment when someone expected tension. They spoke gently when they could have been harsh. They stayed steady when emotions were rising. They made the other person feel held without touching them. And once someone connects your voice with calmness, they may begin to miss it in silence. Your voice becomes more than sound. It becomes a place their mind returns to when the world feels too loud. Love begins when self-protection softens. Love begins when self-protection softens because the heart cannot fully open while it is still preparing for danger. Many people want love, but they also carry invisible guards around their emotions. They may smile, flirt, laugh, and act open, yet deep inside, they are watching for rejection, betrayal, embarrassment, abandonment, or disappointment. Their body wants closeness, but their past keeps whispering, "Be careful." This is why real love often begins quietly. It does not always start with obsession or instant passion. Sometimes it starts the moment someone realizes they do not feel the need to defend themselves around you. They stop rehearsing every sentence. They stop hiding every weakness. They stop turning softness into something dangerous. Their heart begins to believe that maybe closeness does not have to cost them peace. Self-protection softens when someone feels emotionally safe. A gentle response after honesty can do it. A patient silence can do it. A consistent action after a difficult moment can do it. These small experiences tell the nervous system that this person is not here to punish, expose, or use their vulnerability against them. When that guard begins to lower, connection becomes deeper. The person is no longer only showing you the polished version of themselves. They begin revealing the tired parts, the uncertain parts, the parts they normally keep hidden because they fear being too much or not enough. And once someone feels safe enough to stop protecting themselves from you, love can enter places attraction alone could never reach. That softening is powerful because it means their heart has stopped seeing your presence as a threat and started seeing it as shelter. Imperfection feels safer around gentle people. Imperfection feels safer around gentle people because gentleness removes the fear of being punished for being human. Many people walk through life trying to look composed, confident, strong, and emotionally controlled. They hide their confusion, mistakes, awkwardness, insecurity, and pain because they have learned that not everyone handles weakness with care. Some people use your flaws against you. Some mock what they do not understand. Some make one vulnerable moment feel like a permanent label. So when someone is gentle, the atmosphere changes. Their presence tells you that you do not have to be perfectly polished to be accepted. You can stumble over your words. You can admit that you are scared. You can say you do not know. You can reveal a softer part of yourself without feeling like it will be turned into shame. This is why gentleness can create deep emotional attraction. It gives people permission to stop performing. Around a gentle person, imperfection does not feel like failure. It feels like something that can be held, understood, and still respected. The heart begins to relax because it no longer has to hide every crack to remain lovable. In love, this matters more than many people realize. Beauty may attract attention, but gentleness makes someone feel safe enough to stay. A gentle person does not make your flaws louder. They do not treat your nervousness like weakness or your honesty like a burden. They make your unfinished parts feel less dangerous. And when someone feels safe being imperfect around you, they begin to attach deeply. Not because you make them feel flawless, but because you make them feel accepted without needing to become flawless first. Deep attraction comes from feeling unmasked. Deep attraction comes from feeling unmasked because people are not only looking for someone who likes their face, their style, or their confidence. They are looking for someone who can meet the part of them they usually keep hidden. Most people move through life wearing emotional masks. They appear strong when they are tired. They act careless when they are afraid. They smile when they feel unseen. They speak carefully because they do not know who can handle the truth of them. So when someone makes them feel safe enough to remove that mask, the connection becomes powerful. It is no longer just attraction. It becomes exposure without shame. A person begins to feel that they can be honest without being punished, emotional without being called weak, quiet without being misunderstood, and imperfect without being rejected. This feeling can create a bond that ordinary charm cannot reach. Charm may catch attention, but being unmasked creates attachment. It tells the heart, I do not have to hide here. That message can become deeply emotional, especially for someone who has spent years being loved only for the version of themselves that looked easy to accept. When people feel unmasked around you, they start sharing what they usually protect. They reveal old fears, private dreams, strange thoughts, and soft emotions they normally bury. Each honest moment makes the bond feel more real because the connection is no longer built on performance. And once someone feels seen beneath the mask, they may begin to crave your presence in a deeper way. Not because you make them feel impressive, but because you make them feel free from pretending. That kind of attraction does not just touch desire, it touches identity. Steady presence can speak louder than words. Steady presence can speak louder than words because the heart trusts what remains more than what is promised. Anyone can say they care in a soft moment. Anyone can make beautiful statements when emotions are high. But when life becomes uncomfortable, when moods shift, when misunderstandings happen, and when silence would be easier than effort, steady presence reveals what words alone cannot prove. This is why presence becomes powerful in love. A person may not remember every sentence you said, but they will remember that you stayed emotionally available when they expected distance. They will remember that you did not disappear when they were tired, confused, or difficult to understand. They will remember that your care did not vanish the moment the connection became less convenient. Words can comfort, but presence confirms. It tells someone, I am here, not only when it feels easy, but when it matters. That kind of consistency can reach deeper than dramatic speeches because it gives the nervous system something real to believe. The body stops waiting for sudden abandonment. The mind stops questioning every small change. The heart begins to relax around proof. Steady presence does not need to be loud. Sometimes it is a message at the right time. Sometimes it is calm patience during a hard conversation. Sometimes it is simply showing up with the same respect after tension has passed. And once someone experiences that kind of presence, they begin to understand the difference between being entertained and being held. They feel the quiet strength of someone who does not need to over-explain love because their actions keep speaking. That silence can become louder than every promise they have ever heard. The body remembers emotional safety first. The body remembers emotional safety first because love is not only stored in thoughts. It is stored in breathing, posture, tension, silence, and the way someone's presence makes you feel before you even understand why. A person may tell themselves they like someone because of their words, beauty, confidence, or kindness, but the body is quietly asking a deeper question. Am I safe here? This is why emotional safety becomes so powerful in attraction. Before the heart fully trusts, the body starts collecting signals. It notices whether someone's tone feels gentle or threatening. It notices whether their mood changes make the room feel unstable. It notices whether honesty leads to warmth or punishment. It notices whether silence feels peaceful or dangerous. When someone makes the body feel safe, attraction can grow in a deeper way. The shoulders relax. The voice becomes more honest. The mind stops rehearsing defenses. The person begins to feel less guarded without forcing themselves to open. This kind of comfort can create attachment because safety reaches places words cannot reach. Many people do not realize how much their body remembers. It remembers the person who stayed calm during conflict. It remembers the person who listened without making them feel foolish. It remembers the person who did not use vulnerability as a weapon. These moments become emotional evidence. And once the body associates someone with safety, their presence can feel different from everyone else's. It may feel warmer, quieter, and easier to trust. The person may not know how to explain the pull, but something inside them knows. Their body has already decided that this person feels like peace. Love grows when you no longer perform. Love grows when you no longer perform because real closeness begins where pretending becomes too heavy to continue. Many people enter relationships wearing a polished version of themselves. They try to be funnier, calmer, stronger, more interesting, less needy, less hurt, less afraid, and easier to love. They hide the messy parts because they fear that if someone sees the truth, the attraction will disappear. But performance creates distance. It may impress someone, but it does not let them truly know you. When you are always acting like the perfect version of yourself, the other person may admire the mask while never touching the real person behind it. This can feel lonely, even inside a relationship, because being liked for a performance is not the same as being loved for who you are. Love deepens when someone makes you feel safe enough to stop acting. You do not have to force laughter when you are tired. You do not have to pretend you are fine when something hurts. You do not have to hide your quiet moods, your strange thoughts, your soft fears, or your unfinished emotions. Around them, you can simply exist without feeling like you are being judged. This creates powerful attachment because the heart finally feels relief. It no longer has to earn affection through constant effort. It no longer has to entertain, impress, or protect an image. And when someone loves you in the moments where you are not performing, that love reaches deeper. It tells your nervous system that you are not only wanted when you are easy, bright, useful, or impressive. You are still worthy when you are simply real. Vulnerability opens around people who do not rush it. Vulnerability opens around people who do not rush it because the heart needs time to decide whether a place is safe. Many people want honesty, depth, and emotional closeness, but they forget that softness cannot be forced open. When someone pressures another person to share too soon, explain too much, or reveal pain before trust has formed, vulnerability can begin to feel like exposure instead of connection. This is why patience matters so deeply in love. A person may have things they want to say, but fear what will happen after they say them. They may wonder if they will be judged, misunderstood, mocked, abandoned, or treated differently. So they test the space slowly. They share a small truth and watch how it is received. They reveal a tiny fear and notice whether gentleness follows. They show one quiet part of themselves before deciding whether more can be trusted. Someone who does not rush vulnerability creates emotional safety. Their patience says, "You can open at your own pace." That message can feel deeply healing to someone who has been pressured, dismissed, or emotionally handled too roughly before. When vulnerability is allowed to unfold naturally, it becomes more honest. The person is not speaking because they feel cornered. They are speaking because they feel safe enough to let the truth breathe. This makes the bond stronger because every revealed layer feels chosen, not forced. And once someone realizes they do not have to rush their heart around you, they may begin to open in ways they never expected. Not because you demanded access, but because your patience made honesty feel less dangerous. Trust is built through tiny moments. Trust is built through tiny moments because the heart does not believe words until actions repeat themselves in quiet places. Many people think trust is created by one big promise, one emotional confession, or one dramatic act of loyalty. But real trust usually grows in smaller ways. It grows when someone remembers what matters. It grows when they speak gently during tension. It grows when they keep showing up the same way after the mood has changed. Tiny moments matter because they give the nervous system evidence. A person notices when you tell the truth about small things. They notice when you respect a boundary that would have been easy to cross. They notice when you do not punish their honesty, mock their fear, or disappear after they show a vulnerable part of themselves. These moments may look simple, but emotionally, they are powerful. Trust is not built only when everything is perfect. It is built when someone sees how you handle discomfort. Do you become cruel when you are upset? Do you listen when you disagree? Do you stay respectful when you are disappointed? The answers to these small questions slowly teach the heart whether it can relax around you. This is why tiny moments can become more meaningful than grand gestures. A big romantic act may impress someone, but repeated small safety convinces them. It tells them that your care is not only for special occasions, it is part of your character. And once someone collects enough tiny moments of safety with you, their guard begins to lower. They stop expecting betrayal in every silence. They stop preparing for sudden distance. Trust forms quietly until your presence feels less like a risk and more like something they can finally lean on. Affection feels stronger when freely chosen. Affection feels stronger when freely chosen because the heart can sense the difference between love that is offered and love that is forced. When someone gives care because they are pressured, guilted, chased, or emotionally cornered, the affection may still appear on the surface, but something about it feels weak. It does not feel nourishing. It feels like it was pulled out of them instead of willingly given. Freely chosen affection carries a different energy. It arrives without begging. It does not need to be dragged into the room. It is the message sent because someone truly thought of you. It is the gentle touch that was not demanded. It is the effort made without threats, silent punishment, or constant reminders. That kind of affection feels powerful because it tells a person, "You matter to me, even when I am not being forced to prove it." This matters deeply in love because people do not only want attention. They want to feel desired by someone's own will. They want to know the care is real, not just a response to pressure. When affection is freely chosen, it becomes emotionally convincing. The nervous system relaxes because it does not have to fight for every sign of love. Forced affection can create insecurity because the person keeps wondering if they would still be loved without asking. But chosen affection creates peace. It allows someone to receive love without feeling like they had to earn it through fear, tears, or emotional labor. And once someone feels affection coming from freedom rather than obligation, it touches them deeper. They do not just feel cared for, they feel wanted in a way that cannot be faked. Safety can make someone more beautiful. Safety can make someone more beautiful because attraction is not only created by the eyes, it is also shaped by the nervous system, the memory, and the emotional meaning attached to a person. Someone may look ordinary at first, but when their presence begins to feel peaceful, gentle, and emotionally secure, the mind starts seeing them differently. Their face becomes warmer, their voice becomes softer, their smile begins to carry comfort. This happens because beauty is deeply connected to feeling. When someone makes you feel anxious, judged, ignored, or unsafe, even their physical appeal can begin to fade. But when someone makes you feel accepted, respected, and calm, their appearance can become more attractive over time. The brain starts linking their image with relief. Their presence becomes associated with rest instead of pressure. In love, this is powerful because emotional safety changes perception. A person who listens without mocking you, stays gentle during conflict, and protects your dignity during vulnerable moments can begin to look beautiful in a way that goes beyond surface features. You are not just seeing their face anymore. You are seeing the way they make your heart feel. This is why attraction can grow slowly around safe people. At first, there may only be comfort. Then comfort becomes trust. Trust becomes warmth. Warmth becomes desire. The person becomes beautiful because your body no longer braces around them. And once someone becomes linked with emotional safety, their beauty can feel deeply personal. Others may not understand the attraction because they are only looking from the outside, but you are seeing what their presence does to you. You are seeing peace in human form. Listening deeply makes people feel treasured. Listening deeply makes people feel treasured because attention is one of the quietest ways to show love. Many people hear words, but they do not truly listen. They wait for their turn to speak. They interrupt with advice. They change the subject back to themselves. They respond to the sentence, but miss the emotion beneath it. So when someone listens with real patience, it feels rare, intimate, and unforgettable. Deep listening tells a person, "Your inner world matters to me." It makes them feel that their thoughts are not too much, too boring, too emotional, or too small to hold. This matters because many people carry stories they stopped telling because no one received them carefully. They learned to shorten their feelings, hide the details, and pretend they were fine because being unheard too many times can make honesty feel pointless. But when someone listens deeply, the heart begins to open again. The person feels safe enough to speak slower, share more, and reveal what they usually protect. They notice that you remember the little pauses, the change in their voice, the words they almost avoided. That kind of listening feels like emotional shelter. In love, deep listening can be more powerful than compliments because it makes someone feel known instead of merely admired. A compliment may touch the ego, but deep listening touches the lonely part of a person that has been waiting to be understood. And once someone feels truly heard by you, they may begin to attach quietly. They do not just enjoy your presence. They feel valued inside it. They feel like their feelings have weight, their stories have meaning, and their voice has a safe place to land. Love deepens when dignity is protected. Love deepens when dignity is protected because people remember who kept them feeling human when they were vulnerable. Anyone can be kind when everything is easy. Anyone can speak softly when emotions are calm, but the real test of love appears when someone is embarrassed, afraid, wrong, confused, emotional, or exposed. In those moments, the way you treat their dignity can either build trust or quietly break something inside them. Dignity is the part of a person that still wants to feel respected, even when they are not at their best. When someone cries, admits a mistake, shares a painful story, or reveals insecurity, they are not only giving information, they are handing you something delicate. If you respond with mockery, impatience, judgment, or emotional punishment, they may never feel fully safe with you again. But when you protect their dignity, the bond changes. You do not make them feel small for struggling. You do not use their weakness as a weapon later. You do not embarrass them in front of others. You correct them gently. You disagree without humiliation. You listen without turning their pain into entertainment. This creates a deep emotional attachment because the person begins to understand that their humanity is safe with you. They can be imperfect and still respected. They can be emotional and still valued. They can be wrong and still treated with care. And once someone realizes you protect their dignity, even when they are vulnerable, love grows roots. They no longer feel they must hide every fragile part of themselves. Your presence becomes a place where they can be seen without being reduced. That kind of safety deepens love quietly but powerfully. People bond where fears feel safe. People bond where fears feel safe because fear is one of the most protected parts of the human heart. Many people can share jokes, opinions, dreams, and daily stories, but they become careful when it comes to the things that truly scare them. They may hide their fear of being abandoned, misunderstood, replaced, rejected, or not being enough because fear makes them feel exposed. It shows where they still feel small. So when someone can hold their fears without judgment, the connection becomes deeper. It is not only about listening. It is about creating a space where the person does not feel foolish for being afraid. They can say what worries them without being called dramatic. They can reveal what hurts them without being treated as weak. They can admit what they need without feeling like a burden. This kind of safety is powerful because fear often expects punishment. A person may have learned to hide their fears because others dismissed them, laughed at them, used them, or became impatient with them. But when someone responds with gentleness, the nervous system receives a different message. This part of me is safe here. That message creates attachment. The person begins to feel that they do not have to face their inner shadows alone. They start trusting you not only with their happy self, but with the frightened self they usually keep hidden. And once someone feels safe enough to bring their fears into your presence, the bond becomes more intimate. They are no longer just sharing time with you. They are sharing the parts of themselves they were afraid no one could handle with care. Gentle conflict can create stronger attraction. Gentle conflict can create stronger attraction because it shows that disagreement does not have to destroy safety. Many people fear conflict because they have seen it turn into shouting, blame, silence, insults, rejection, or emotional punishment. They learn to avoid hard conversations, not because they have nothing to say, but because they are afraid honesty will cost them peace. So when someone can disagree gently, the experience feels different. The person realizes that tension does not have to mean danger. They can express a feeling without being attacked. They can explain disappointment without being dismissed. They can hear another perspective without the whole connection collapsing. This creates a powerful sense of emotional safety. Gentle conflict is not weakness. It is emotional control. It means someone can be upset without becoming cruel. They can speak truth without trying to wound. They can listen without turning defensive. In love, this becomes deeply attractive because it proves maturity. It shows that the person values the relationship more than their need to win. This kind of conflict can actually deepen attachment. After a gentle disagreement, the heart feels surprised by peace. It realizes, we had tension, but I was still respected. That moment can build more trust than a perfect day with no problems. Anyone can seem loving when there is no pressure, but the person who stays kind during discomfort becomes unforgettable. And once someone experiences conflict with you as safe instead of threatening, they may begin to open more honestly. They stop hiding every concern. They stop fearing every difficult conversation. Attraction grows because your presence teaches them that love can survive truth without turning into pain. People fall for those who soothe old wounds. People fall for those who soothe old wounds because love often reaches places that logic cannot explain. A person may think they are attracted to someone's smile, voice, attention, or kindness. But sometimes the deeper pull comes from the way that person touches an old pain without reopening it. They bring comfort to a part of the heart that learned to stay guarded. Old wounds do not always look dramatic. Sometimes they hide behind independence, humor, silence, overthinking, or the need to seem strong. A person may have been ignored, rejected, criticized, abandoned, or made to feel difficult to love. Even if they move on with life, the emotional memory can remain. So when someone treats them with patience, tenderness, and consistency, it can feel deeply healing. This is why soothing old wounds creates powerful attachment. The person begins to feel something they may not have felt before. They feel chosen where they once felt unwanted. They feel heard where they once felt dismissed. They feel safe where they once expected pain. Your presence becomes connected to emotional repair. In love, this can feel almost magnetic because the heart is not only responding to the present, it is also responding to the past, finally receiving gentleness. Every kind word, every patient response, every moment of care can reach backward into places that still needed proof that love does not always hurt. And once someone feels that your presence softens pain they never fully explained, they may begin to attach deeply. Not only because you make them happy, but because you make the wounded parts of them feel less alone. Real connection makes the nervous system rest. Real connection makes the nervous system rest because love is not only something the heart feels, it is something the body recognizes. Many people live in relationships, friendships, and social spaces where they are always slightly tense. They watch their words, they measure their emotions, they prepare for criticism, distance, misunderstanding, or sudden change. Even when they are smiling, their body may still be bracing. So when real connection appears, it feels different. It does not make the body perform. It does not make the mind race for the right answer. It does not make silence feel dangerous or honesty feel risky. Instead, something inside begins to settle. The shoulders drop, the breathing slows, the face softens. The person feels like they can finally stop defending themselves. This kind of rest creates powerful attachment because the nervous system does not forget where it felt safe. It remembers the person who made emotions feel less threatening. It remembers the voice that lowered anxiety. It remembers the presence that did not demand perfection. Over time, the body begins to associate that person with peace, and peace can become more addictive than excitement. Real connection does not always feel loud. Sometimes it feels like relief. It feels like being with someone who does not make you question your worth every few minutes. It feels like a place where your heart can be honest without preparing for punishment. And once someone experiences that kind of rest around you, they may begin to crave your presence in a deeper way, not because you entertain their chaos, but because you help their whole being remember what safety feels like. Being understood quickly feels almost magical. Being understood quickly feels almost magical because most people are used to explaining themselves too much. They repeat their feelings, defend their reactions, soften their truth, and search for the right words, only to still feel misunderstood. So when someone understands them with little effort, it creates a sudden emotional shock. It feels as if the other person has reached into a hidden room and recognized something that was never clearly spoken. This kind of understanding is powerful because it touches a deep human hunger. People want to be known without begging to be seen. They want someone to hear what they mean, not just what they say. They want their silence, hesitation, tone, and hidden emotion to matter. When someone catches the meaning beneath the words, the connection can feel strangely intimate. The mind begins to wonder, How did they know that? The heart begins to soften because it feels less alone. The nervous system relaxes because it no longer has to fight to be understood. This is why quick understanding can create fast attachment. It does not feel like ordinary listening. It feels like emotional recognition. In love, this can be more powerful than being praised. Praise says, "I admire what I see." Understanding says, "I see what others miss." That difference can make someone feel deeply exposed, but also deeply safe. And once a person feels understood by you without having to explain every piece of themselves, they may begin to crave that feeling. Your presence starts feeling rare because you make their inner world feel readable, accepted, and less lonely. People attach to those who make them feel real. People attach to those who make them feel real because many people spend their lives feeling like a version of themselves, not the full truth. They act strong when they are tired, cheerful when they are hurting, confident when they are unsure, and easygoing when something inside them is begging to be understood. Over time, this performance can make a person feel distant from their own heart. So when someone comes along who makes them feel real, the bond becomes powerful. This person does not only respond to the mask, they notice the quiet shift in mood, the tiredness behind the smile, the feeling hidden beneath casual words. They make honesty feel possible without forcing it. They create a space where the person can stop editing themselves and simply exist. This is deeply emotional because being real is one of the rarest forms of freedom. Around most people, we manage impressions, we choose safe words, we hide softness, we protect the parts that might be judged. But around someone who accepts the truth without making it heavy, the heart begins to relax. Attachment grows because the person starts connecting your presence with self-return. They feel more honest around you. They feel more alive around you. They feel less like a role and more like a person. That feeling can become unforgettable because it touches identity, not just emotion. And once someone feels real with you, they may begin to fear losing that space. Not because they cannot live without you, but because your presence reminds them of who they are when they no longer have to pretend. Curiosity about the mind deepens love. Curiosity about the mind deepens love because people do not only want to be looked at, they want to be explored in a way that makes their inner world feel important. Attraction may begin with appearance, charm, voice, or energy, but love becomes deeper when someone shows genuine interest in how a person thinks, what they notice, what they fear, what they dream about, and why they see life the way they do. Many people are used to being desired more than they are understood. Someone may compliment their body, enjoy their company, or want their attention, but never truly ask what lives inside them. This can feel flattering for a while, but it also creates emptiness. Being wanted without being known can make a person feel lonely in the middle of affection. When someone is curious about the mind, the connection changes. They ask questions that go beyond the obvious. They listen to opinions without rushing to correct them. They care about the stories behind someone's reactions. They want to know the thoughts that appear before the smile, the meanings behind the silence, and the dreams that are too delicate to share with everyone. This kind of curiosity creates intimacy because it tells a person, your inner life is worth entering. It makes them feel more than attractive, useful, or entertaining. It makes them feel mentally and emotionally significant. And once someone feels that you are not only drawn to their presence, but also fascinated by their mind, love begins to deepen. They start opening doors inside themselves, not because they are pressured, but because your curiosity makes their hidden world feel safe, valued, and worth revealing. Repeated affection becomes emotional memory. Repeated affection becomes emotional memory because the heart remembers what keeps returning with gentleness. One kind message can make someone smile. One warm touch can make them feel noticed. One soft word can comfort them for a moment. But when affection appears again and again, it starts becoming more than a sweet experience. It becomes something the mind stores, something the body trusts, and something the heart begins to expect. This is why consistent affection can create such deep attachment. The brain learns through repetition. It begins to connect a person's presence with warmth, care, and emotional ease. A simple good morning, a patient reply, a remembered detail, a calm check-in, or a gentle reassurance may seem small in the moment, but over time, these little acts become emotional evidence. People do not only remember what shocked them, they remember what soothed them repeatedly. They remember who made them feel chosen on ordinary days, not just during dramatic moments. They remember who kept showing care when there was nothing to gain, nothing to prove, and no audience watching. In love, repeated affection becomes powerful because it creates a quiet inner recording. The person begins to hear your care even when you are absent. They remember your tone. They remember your consistency. They remember how your attention made life feel softer. Your affection becomes part of how they emotionally recognize safety. And once affection becomes emotional memory, your presence can feel familiar in a deeply comforting way. The heart starts returning to you, not only because of what you give in the moment, but because of everything your care has already taught it to feel. Acceptance creates attraction without self-loss. Acceptance creates attraction without self-loss because people feel safest with those who allow them to be loved without needing to disappear. Many relationships create pressure without saying it directly. A person may feel they must become quieter, easier, prettier, stronger, less emotional, less honest, or more available just to keep someone interested. Over time, this kind of attraction begins to feel like sacrifice. They are wanted, but only when they shrink into a version that feels convenient. True acceptance works differently. It does not ask someone to abandon themselves to be chosen. It makes them feel desired while still feeling whole. Their opinions are not treated as threats. Their boundaries are not treated as rejection. Their emotions are not treated as inconvenience. Their individuality is not seen as something that must be controlled before love can survive. This kind of acceptance creates powerful attraction because it removes fear from closeness. The person does not have to keep asking, "Will I still be loved if I am fully myself?" They begin to relax because your presence does not demand self-betrayal. They can be soft without becoming weak. They can be independent without being punished. They can be honest without fearing that love will be withdrawn. In love, this matters deeply because people do not only want to be wanted, they want to be wanted without being erased. They want connection that adds warmth to their life, not connection that steals their identity piece by piece. And once someone feels accepted without losing themselves, attraction becomes cleaner, calmer, and deeper. They are not attached through fear, pressure, or performance. They are drawn to you because your love gives them room to remain real. Warmth with self-respect feels magnetic. Warmth with self-respect feels magnetic because it gives people closeness without desperation. Many people know how to be kind, but they lose themselves while doing it. They give too much, tolerate too much, explain too much, and call it love, when deep down they are afraid that boundaries will make them unwanted. Others protect themselves so strongly that their energy becomes cold, distant, and hard to reach. But when warmth and self-respect exist together, the effect is powerful. This kind of person can be gentle without being weak. They can care without chasing. They can listen without begging for approval. They can love deeply without abandoning their standards. That balance creates attraction because it feels emotionally safe and valuable at the same time. People feel welcomed by their kindness, but they also feel the quiet strength beneath it. Warmth alone can sometimes be taken for granted. Self-respect alone can sometimes feel intimidating. But together, they create a presence that feels rare. A person senses that you have a soft heart, but not an open door for disrespect. You can offer affection, but you will not trade your dignity for attention. You can be emotionally available, but not emotionally careless. This makes others respect your presence more. They feel your kindness, but they also know it has boundaries. They understand that your love is real, but not desperate. That creates a deeper pull, because people value what is freely given by someone who still values themselves. And once someone experiences your warmth without weakness, they may begin to feel drawn to you in a way they cannot easily explain. Your softness comforts them, but your self-respect makes them admire you. Actions build trust faster than promises. Actions build trust faster than promises because the heart learns more from what someone repeatedly does than from what they beautifully says. Promises can sound comforting. They can make a person feel hopeful, wanted, and temporarily secure. But if those promises are not followed by steady behavior, they slowly lose their power. The mind may still remember the words, but the body begins to remember the disappointment. This is why actions become so important in love. A person may say they care, but care becomes believable when they show up. They may say they respect you, but respect becomes real when they honor your boundaries. They may say they will change, but change becomes trustworthy only when it appears in behavior, not just emotion. Promises often speak to hope, but actions speak to safety. When someone keeps doing what they said they would do, the nervous system begins to relax. It no longer has to question every word. It no longer has to search for hidden meanings. It starts building a quiet confidence that this person is not just speaking from mood, guilt, or excitement. This is why small actions can mean more than dramatic declarations. A kept promise, a consistent effort, a respectful tone, a remembered detail, or a difficult truth told honestly can build deeper trust than 1,000 beautiful words. The heart does not need perfection. It needs proof. And once someone sees that your actions match your words, trust forms faster. They stop feeling like they must decode you. They begin to believe you, not because you convinced them loudly, but because your behavior kept proving what your mouth once promised. Love starts suddenly, but grows through reliability. Love starts suddenly, but grows through reliability because attraction can begin in a moment, but attachment needs proof over time. A glance, a conversation, a laugh, a soft message, or one unforgettable feeling can awaken love quickly. The heart may feel pulled before the mind understands why, but that first spark is only the beginning. For love to become deep, safe, and lasting, it needs something steadier than excitement. Reliability is what turns a feeling into trust. It is the person who does not disappear after creating closeness. It is the care that remains after the mood changes. It is the message that still comes when life gets busy. It is the respect that stays present during disagreement. These repeated signals teach the heart that the connection is not just emotional weather. It has ground beneath it. Sudden love can feel powerful because it surprises the body. It wakes desire, hope, and curiosity. But without reliability, that excitement can become anxiety. The person begins to wonder where they stand. They start waiting, guessing, and measuring every change. What once felt romantic can slowly become exhausting. Reliability makes love feel safer. It gives the heart something to lean on. It shows that affection is not only available when things are easy, fun, or convenient. It proves that the person is emotionally present enough to be trusted beyond the first rush. And once reliability enters love, the connection becomes more than a feeling. It becomes a pattern of safety. The heart may have opened suddenly, but it stays open because someone keeps showing it. There is no need to keep closing again. Safety can make someone breathe differently. Safety can make someone breathe differently because the body knows peace before the mind can explain it. When a person is around someone unsafe, unpredictable, judgmental, or emotionally intense, their body often stays alert. Their chest tightens. Their words become careful. Their thoughts move faster. They may not even notice it, but they are quietly preparing for criticism, rejection, conflict, or disappointment. Then someone safe enters their life, and the body begins to respond in a new way. Their breathing slows, their shoulders loosen, their voice becomes softer. They do not feel the need to calculate every sentence or protect every emotion. They can sit beside that person and feel something inside them unclench. That is not ordinary attraction. That is the nervous system recognizing shelter. This is why emotional safety can create such a deep bond. People remember who allowed them to rest without asking for performance. They remember who made silence feel calm instead of threatening. They remember who did not turn vulnerability into weakness. Over time, the body begins to associate that person with relief, and relief can become one of the strongest forms of attachment. In love, this matters because many people do not realize how exhausted they are from being tense around others. They think they want excitement, but what they deeply crave is a place where they do not have to brace themselves. And once someone notices they breathe easier around you, the connection becomes harder to ignore. Your presence begins to feel different from the rest of the world, not louder, not flashier, but safer. Their body starts choosing you before their mind has found the words. Calm people become unforgettable during storms. Calm people become unforgettable during storms because emotional pressure reveals who can be trusted with chaos. Anyone can seem attractive when life is easy, conversations are light, and nothing important is being tested. But when stress rises, when emotions become heavy, when confusion enters the room, calmness becomes rare. It shows strength without aggression and care without panic. This is why calm people leave such a deep emotional mark. They do not make the storm louder. They do not turn pain into drama, fear into blame, or disagreement into war. Their presence becomes an anchor when everything else feels unstable. They may not have all the answers, but their steadiness makes the moment feel survivable. In love, this matters more than many people realize. A person remembers who stayed gentle when they were overwhelmed. They remember who listened without rushing to control them. They remember who did not use their emotional state against them. When someone remains calm during your hardest moments, your nervous system begins to associate them with safety. Calmness during storms is not emotional emptiness. It is discipline. It is the ability to feel deeply without becoming destructive. It is the quiet power of someone who can hold tension without throwing it back at you. That kind of presence can become more attractive than beauty, charm, or passion because it proves emotional maturity. And once someone has seen you stay steady when life felt unsteady, they may never forget it. Your calm becomes part of their memory of survival. Your voice becomes connected to relief. Your presence becomes the place their heart remembers when the world feels too heavy. Honesty creates intimacy by removing guessing. Honesty creates intimacy by removing guessing because the heart cannot rest where the mind must keep searching for hidden meanings. When someone is unclear, inconsistent, or emotionally confusing, the other person begins to study every word, every silence, every delay, and every change in tone. They stop feeling connected and start feeling like they are solving a puzzle. This kind of guessing can slowly drain attraction. A person may still care, but they become tired from trying to understand what should have been spoken clearly. They wonder if love is real, if distance means rejection, if silence means anger, or if kindness is only temporary. The connection becomes filled with anxiety because truth is missing. Honesty changes that. It gives the heart solid ground. When someone speaks clearly about what they feel, what they need, what hurt them, or what they cannot offer, it may not always be easy to hear, but it removes emotional fog. The other person does not have to invent explanations or chase certainty from small clues. In love, honesty creates closeness because it allows both people to meet reality instead of illusions. It says, "I respect you enough not to make you guess." That message can be deeply intimate because emotional clarity protects the dignity of the person receiving it. And once someone feels they can trust your words, they stop bracing for hidden truths. They begin to relax inside the connection. They feel safer asking questions, sharing feelings, and opening deeper parts of themselves. Honesty becomes attractive because it makes love feel less like a mystery to survive and more like a place where the truth can finally breathe. People love those who make peace feel possible. People love those who make peace feel possible because many hearts have lived too long in emotional survival. Some people are used to love feeling like confusion, pressure, proving, chasing, or waiting for the next disappointment. They may want closeness, but they also expect pain to follow it. So when someone enters their life and makes peace feel realistic instead of impossible, the attraction can become deeply powerful. This does not always happen through big romantic gestures. Sometimes peace begins with a calm conversation, a respectful disagreement, a steady response, a gentle tone when emotions could have turned harsh. These moments quietly teach the nervous system that love does not have to be a battlefield. It can be a place where truth is spoken without cruelty and emotions are held without punishment. People are drawn to those who make them feel that life can be softer. Around such a person, they stop preparing for emotional damage. They stop expecting every silence to mean rejection. They stop feeling like affection must be earned through suffering. Their body begins to understand that connection can feel safe, simple, and steady. This kind of love becomes unforgettable because it gives someone hope without chaos. It shows them that calm does not mean emptiness, and peace does not mean boredom. Peace can be warm. Peace can be intimate. Peace can be the strongest form of desire when someone has spent years mistaking instability for passion. And once someone connects your presence with the possibility of peace, they may begin to love you in a quiet but serious way. Not because you make life perfect, but because you make safety feel believable. Kindness matters most during confusion. Kindness matters most during confusion because uncertainty reveals whether someone's care is real or only convenient. It is easy to be gentle when everything is clear. when emotions are simple, and when no one is misunderstood. But when confusion enters a connection, when words are misread, feelings become messy, or neither person knows what to do next, kindness becomes the difference between safety and emotional damage. Confusion can make people defensive. It can make them assume the worst, speak too sharply, withdraw too quickly, or protect their pride instead of protecting the bond. In those moments, a person is not only listening to what you say, they are watching how you handle not knowing. They are watching whether you become cruel when things are unclear, whether you punish them for being uncertain, or whether you still treat them with care while everything feels unresolved. This is why kindness during confusion creates deep trust. It tells the heart, even when things are not easy, I will not become unsafe. That message is powerful because many people have been hurt most in moments where they needed patience. They were misunderstood and then blamed. They were overwhelmed and then abandoned. They were unsure and then made to feel foolish. In love, kindness does not mean pretending there is no problem. It means choosing gentleness while finding the truth. It means asking instead of attacking, listening instead of assuming, giving clarity without humiliation. And once someone experiences your kindness in a confusing moment, they remember it differently. They feel that your care is not fragile. They feel that even when emotions become unclear, your presence does not become dangerous. That kind of kindness can make love feel safer than certainty itself. Love deepens when pain is handled gently. Love deepens when pain is handled gently because people remember how they were treated when they had no strength to hide what hurt. Anyone can enjoy someone's laughter, beauty, confidence, or easy moods. But pain reveals a more fragile part of a person. It shows where they are tired, wounded, afraid, disappointed, or quietly breaking beneath the surface. When someone shares pain, they are not only telling a story, they are testing safety. They are watching your face, your tone, your patience, and your reaction. They want to know if their hurt will be respected or dismissed. They want to know if you will listen or rush them. They want to know if you will make them feel dramatic, weak, or difficult for having emotions. Gentleness in those moments can change everything. A soft response can make someone feel less alone in what they carry. A patient silence can tell them they do not have to hurry their healing. A careful word can protect their dignity when they already feel exposed. This creates a kind of closeness that ordinary affection cannot reach. In love, pain handled gently becomes emotional proof. It shows that your care is not only for the bright parts of them, it reaches the heavy parts too. It tells them they can bring their truth into your presence without being punished for it. And once someone feels that their pain is safe with you, love grows deeper. They begin to trust you with the parts they usually hide. Your presence becomes linked with comfort, not fear. That kind of gentleness can turn simple care into lasting attachment. Attention feels best without control. Attention feels best without control. Because love loses its softness when care begins to feel like ownership. People want to be noticed, remembered, desired, and chosen. But they also want to feel free inside that attention. When someone watches too closely, questions too much, demands constant access, or turns affection into monitoring, what once felt romantic can start feeling heavy. Healthy attention feels warm. It says, I see you, and I value you. Controlling attention feels different. It says, I need to manage you so I can feel secure. At first, the difference may be hard to notice because control can disguise itself as concern. Someone may say they only ask because they care. They may act hurt when you need space. They may treat your independence like rejection. Slowly, attention becomes pressure instead of comfort. This is why attention without control feels so powerful. It allows someone to feel wanted without feeling trapped. They can have their own thoughts, friendships, silence, routines, and private space without being punished for it. Your interest does not shrink their freedom. Your care does not become a cage. Your affection gives warmth without taking away their breath. In love, this kind of attention creates deeper trust because it respects the person as a whole human being, not a possession. It shows emotional maturity. It proves that you can care deeply without needing to dominate, chase, or constantly verify your place in their life. And once someone experiences attention that feels safe instead of controlling, they begin to relax into it. They feel chosen, not captured. They feel desired, not managed. That freedom makes the affection feel cleaner, stronger, and much harder to forget. Strong bonds grow from relaxed togetherness. Strong bonds grow from relaxed togetherness because love does not always need dramatic moments to become deep. Sometimes, the strongest attachment forms when two people can simply be near each other without pressure, performance, or emotional noise. They do not need to fill every silence. They do not need to impress each other every second. They do not need to turn every moment into proof that the connection matters. Relaxed togetherness feels powerful because many people are used to relationships that demand constant effort. They feel they must always be interesting, attractive, funny, available, or emotionally perfect to keep someone close. This creates tension, even when love is present. The person may enjoy the connection, but they never fully rest inside it. When togetherness feels relaxed, the body receives a different message. It says, "You can be here without earning your place." That kind of peace creates a quiet bond. A person begins to feel safe doing ordinary things with you, sitting in silence, sharing a meal, walking slowly, talking about nothing important, being tired without apologizing, laughing without performing. These simple moments become emotionally meaningful because they show that closeness does not have to be exhausting. The relationship is not only exciting when something big is happening. It feels good even in the small spaces where real life actually lives. And once someone feels relaxed around you, they begin to associate your presence with ease. They do not just want you for passion, entertainment, or escape. They want you because being with you feels natural. That kind of bond grows quietly, but it can become stronger than attraction built only on intensity. Admiration begins love. Trust sustains it. Admiration begins love. Trust sustains it because attraction often starts with what impresses the eyes. But lasting connection depends on what calms the heart. A person may first notice someone's confidence, beauty, intelligence, talent, humor, or strength. Admiration can create the first pull. It makes someone curious. It makes them pay attention. It makes them wonder what it would feel like to be closer. But admiration alone cannot carry love for long. You can admire someone and still feel unsafe with them. You can be impressed by their words and still doubt their actions. You can be drawn to their presence and still feel lonely inside the relationship. This is why trust becomes the deeper foundation. It turns attraction from excitement into security. Trust is built when someone becomes emotionally dependable. They do not only shine when things are easy, they remain respectful when they are upset. They tell the truth when lying would be convenient. They protect your dignity when you are vulnerable. They show through behavior that their care is not just a mood, but part of their character. In love, admiration may open the door, but trust decides whether the heart stays. Without trust, admiration slowly becomes anxiety. The person may still see what is beautiful about you, but they cannot relax inside the connection. They keep wondering what is real, what will change, and whether your affection can be believed. And once trust is present, love becomes stronger than attraction alone. The heart no longer depends only on what it admires. It begins resting in what it can rely on. That is when love stops being just a spark and becomes a place of safety. Safe silence creates quiet closeness. Safe silence creates quiet closeness because it shows that two people do not need constant words to feel connected. Many people fear silence in relationships because they have learned to read it as distance, anger, boredom, or rejection. When the room becomes quiet, their mind starts working too hard. They wonder if they said something wrong, if the other person is losing interest, or if they need to perform to keep the connection alive. But safe silence feels different. It does not make the heart panic. It does not demand entertainment. It does not punish. It simply allows two people to exist together without pressure. In that kind of silence, the body begins to relax because nothing is being forced. There is no need to fill the space with nervous laughter, unnecessary explanations, or words that are only spoken out of fear. This kind of quiet closeness can feel deeply intimate because it means comfort has gone beyond conversation. Anyone can talk when things are exciting. Anyone can fill time with stories, jokes, and questions. But sitting peacefully with someone without feeling awkward or unwanted reveals a softer kind of bond. Safe silence tells the nervous system, I can rest here. It lets a person feel accepted even when they are not giving, entertaining, explaining, or proving anything. That feeling can become more powerful than constant attention because it reaches the part of a person that is tired of performing. And once someone experiences silence with you as warm instead of empty, they begin to feel close to you in a quieter way. Your presence becomes enough. Your stillness becomes comforting. The silence stops feeling like absence and starts feeling like trust. A soft tone can repair tension. A soft tone can repair tension because the way something is said often reaches the heart before the meaning of the words does. In difficult moments, people are not only listening to your message, they are listening for danger. They are searching your voice for anger, rejection, impatience, judgment, or emotional distance. A harsh truth can make someone close down, but a gentle truth can help them stay open long enough to understand. Tension makes the body defensive. The face tightens. The mind prepares arguments. The heart starts protecting itself. Even small words can feel threatening when the tone behind them feels sharp. This is why many conflicts become worse. Not because the issue is impossible to solve, but because the emotional delivery makes both people feel unsafe. A soft tone changes the atmosphere. It does not mean avoiding honesty or pretending nothing is wrong. It means speaking in a way that protects connection while addressing the problem. It tells the other person, "This conversation matters, but I am not here to harm you." That message can calm the nervous system and make repair possible. In love, tone carries emotional memory. Someone may forget the exact disagreement, but they will remember whether your voice made them feel attacked or respected. They will remember if you stayed gentle when you had the power to wound them. They will remember if your calmness helped them come closer instead of pushing them away. And once someone experiences your soft tone during tension, trust deepens. They begin to feel that even hard conversations with you can be safe. Your voice becomes proof that conflict does not have to destroy closeness. Respecting boundaries increases attraction. Respecting boundaries increases attraction because it makes someone feel safe, valued, and free at the same time. Many people think attraction grows when they push harder, demand more attention, or try to become impossible to ignore. But pressure often weakens desire. When someone feels rushed, watched, questioned, or emotionally cornered, their body begins to protect itself. What could have become closeness starts feeling like control. Boundaries are not walls against love. They are the lines that allow love to feel safe. When someone says they need time, space, privacy, honesty, slower pacing, or emotional respect, they are showing you how to stay close without hurting them. If you ignore that, they may still respond for a while, but something inside them begins to pull away. Respecting boundaries creates a different feeling. It tells the person, "Your comfort matters to me." That message can be deeply attractive because it proves emotional maturity. It shows that you do not need to force access to feel important. You can care without invading. You can desire without pressuring. You can be close without trying to own. In love, this kind of respect builds trust quickly. The person starts feeling that their no will not be punished. Their silence will not be attacked. Their pace will not be mocked. Their individuality will not be treated as rejection. And once someone feels respected in their boundaries, attraction often grows naturally. They stop guarding themselves so tightly because your presence does not feel like a threat. They come closer because they want to, not because they feel forced. That freedom makes desire cleaner, calmer, and stronger. Love deepens where freedom remains. Love deepens where freedom remains because the heart cannot fully trust a connection that feels like a cage. Many people confuse closeness with control. They think love means constant access, constant explanation, constant attention, and the right to know every thought, every movement, and every emotion. But when love starts removing someone's freedom, it slowly stops feeling like safety and begins feeling like pressure. Freedom in love does not mean distance. It means a person can stay connected without losing ownership of themselves. They can have private thoughts, quiet days, personal dreams, friendships, boundaries, and moments of silence without being accused of pulling away. They can love someone deeply and still remain their own person. This matters because attraction becomes stronger when someone feels chosen, not trapped. If a person feels they must shrink their life to keep your affection, resentment begins to grow quietly. They may stay, but their spirit starts pulling back. They may answer your messages, but their heart begins to feel watched instead of wanted. When freedom remains, love becomes cleaner. The person does not come close out of fear, guilt, or pressure. They come close because they want to. Their affection feels more honest because it is not forced. Their presence feels more meaningful because they are free to leave, yet still choose to stay. And once someone realizes they can breathe, grow, speak, rest, and still be loved by you, the bond deepens. Your love does not erase them. It gives them room to become more fully themselves, and that kind of freedom can make attachment stronger than control ever could. Emotional maturity outlasts charm. Emotional maturity outlasts charm because charm can attract attention, but maturity creates safety. A charming person may know what to say, when to smile, how to make someone laugh, and how to create excitement in the beginning. They may feel magnetic because their presence is smooth, confident, and easy to enjoy. But charm alone does not prove that someone can handle real love. Real love eventually brings uncomfortable moments. There will be misunderstandings, quiet fears, disappointment, stress, and conversations that require honesty. This is where charm begins to lose power if there is no emotional maturity behind it. A person can be charming on a good day and still become defensive, cold, careless, or cruel when emotions become difficult. Emotional maturity feels different. It does not depend on performance. It shows up in how someone listens when they disagree, how they apologizes when they are wrong, how they protects your dignity during conflict, and how they communicate instead of disappearing. Maturity makes someone feel safe after the excitement fades. This is why people may first fall for charm, but they stay for emotional steadiness. Charm can make the heart open quickly, but maturity teaches it not to regret opening. It proves that the person is not only interesting, but reliable, not only attractive, but emotionally responsible. And over time, charm without maturity can become exhausting. The jokes stop covering the inconsistency. The confidence stops hiding the lack of accountability. The beauty stops distracting from the emotional danger. But emotional maturity grows more attractive with time because it gives love something charm cannot give: peace, trust, and the feeling that your heart is being handled by someone who knows its weight. Gentleness with sensitivity builds trust. Gentleness with sensitivity builds trust because people protect the parts of themselves that have been hurt before. A person may seem confident, strong, funny, or emotionally composed, but beneath that surface, there may be places that still feel tender. Certain words, tones, jokes, memories, or reactions can touch something old inside them. They may not always explain it, but their body remembers where they have been wounded. This is why sensitivity matters in love. When someone reveals what affects them, they are giving you a map of their emotional world. They are showing you where to step carefully. If you treat those sensitive places with impatience, mockery, or carelessness, trust begins to close. The person learns that honesty is not safe with you, and they may start hiding what they once tried to share. But gentleness changes everything. It tells the heart, "I will not use your softness against you." A gentle person does not laugh at what matters deeply. They do not call someone dramatic for feeling pain. They do not treat emotional triggers like inconveniences. Instead, they listen, adjust, and handle the person with care. This kind of tenderness builds trust because it proves that your love has awareness. You are not only present when things are easy. You are careful when something delicate appears. You understand that sensitivity is not weakness. Sometimes it is the scar tissue of a heart that had to survive too much without enough comfort. And once someone feels that their sensitive places are safe with you, they begin to trust more deeply. They stop hiding every fragile reaction. They let you closer because your gentleness makes their softness feel protected instead of exposed. Safe laughter makes love lighter. Safe laughter makes love lighter because joy feels different when it does not come with fear of being mocked, judged, or misunderstood. Many people laugh around others, but not always freely. Sometimes they laugh to avoid tension. Sometimes they laugh to seem easygoing. Sometimes they hide their real humor because they are afraid it will sound strange, too childish, too loud, or too much. But safe laughter feels different. It lets someone enjoy the moment without protecting themselves. They can be silly without feeling foolish. They can make a mistake without feeling ashamed. They can laugh at something simple and not worry that their joy will be criticized. This kind of laughter creates emotional freedom, and emotional freedom makes love feel less heavy. In relationships, laughter becomes powerful when it softens the atmosphere instead of covering pain. It helps two people breathe through difficult seasons. It turns ordinary moments into memories. It reminds the heart that love is not only about deep talks, emotional healing, and serious commitment. Love also needs lightness. It needs play. It needs the feeling that life becomes easier, not harder, when this person is near. Safe laughter also builds closeness because it shows acceptance. When someone laughs with you, not at you, they make your unguarded self feel welcome. They create a space where joy does not have to be controlled or polished. And once someone connects your presence with laughter that feels safe, they begin to miss your energy in a special way, not because you entertain them like a performance, but because you make life feel softer, warmer, and easier to carry. Love becomes lighter when laughter feels like home. People attach to those who ease hard days. People attach to those who ease hard days because life becomes emotionally lighter around them. Anyone can be present when things are fun, simple, and exciting, but the person who brings calm during stress leaves a deeper mark. A hard day makes the heart more sensitive. The mind is tired, the body is heavy, and even small disappointments can feel larger than they are. In that state, gentleness becomes powerful. When someone shows up with patience, warmth, or simple understanding, they do more than offer comfort. They become associated with relief. Their message feels softer. Their voice feels safer. Their presence feels like a place where the day can finally stop pressing so hard. Over time, the brain begins to connect that person with emotional rest. This is why small acts during difficult moments can create strong attachment. A calm check-in, a thoughtful word, a quiet reminder that someone is not alone, or the ability to listen without making the problem heavier can mean more than grand affection on an easy day. People remember who made their pain feel less lonely. They remember who did not disappear when their energy was low. They remember who helped them breathe through moments they were silently struggling to survive. In love, this kind of support becomes deeply attractive because it proves care beyond convenience. It shows that affection is not only present when someone is cheerful, useful, or easy to enjoy. It remains when life feels messy. And once someone sees you as the person who makes hard days easier, your presence becomes emotionally valuable. They do not just want your attention. They want the peace that seems to arrive with you. Understanding quiet moods creates closeness. Understanding quiet moods creates closeness because not every emotion arrives with words. Some people become silent when they are tired, overwhelmed, hurt, or emotionally full. They may not know how to explain what they feel yet. They may not want advice, questions, pressure, or judgment. They may simply need someone who can notice the shift without turning it into a problem. Many people misunderstand quiet moods. They take silence personally. They assume distance means rejection. They push for answers too quickly, or they become offended because the person cannot explain themselves immediately. This can make someone feel even more alone because now they must manage their own emotions and protect someone else's reaction at the same time. But when someone understands quiet moods, the atmosphere becomes safer. They do not demand performance. They do not punish silence. They do not force the person to become cheerful before they are ready. Instead, they offer patience, softness, and steady presence. That kind of understanding can feel deeply intimate because it says, "You do not have to be easy to be loved here." In love, this creates closeness because it protects the hidden parts of a person. It gives them room to feel without being rushed. It teaches them that their low moments will not automatically create distance or conflict. And once someone realizes you can sit with their quiet moods without making them feel guilty, they begin to trust you differently. Your presence becomes safe not only for their bright side, but also for the parts of them that need silence, space, and gentle understanding. Love feels stronger without constant proof. Love feels stronger without constant proof because the heart relaxes when it no longer has to keep asking, "Is this real?" In insecure connections, love often feels like a courtroom. One person keeps searching for evidence, testing reactions, measuring replies, reading tone, and needing reassurance again and again. The relationship may still have affection, but the nervous system never fully rests because certainty keeps disappearing. Constant proof can make love feel fragile. If someone always needs to prove they care, explain every silence, defend every delay, or repeat the same reassurance, the connection begins to feel less like peace and more like emotional labor. The love may be present, but it becomes buried under fear. Instead of enjoying closeness, the person is trying to survive doubt. Real love grows stronger when care becomes consistent enough to be trusted quietly. You do not need dramatic declarations every day because the pattern already speaks. You do not need to panic over every quiet moment because the bond has shown stability. You do not need to beg for proof because affection has become familiar, steady, and believable. This kind of love feels powerful because it gives the mind space to rest. The person can breathe without constantly checking whether they are still chosen. They can enjoy the relationship without turning every small change into a threat. And once someone experiences love that does not require constant proof, they begin to understand peace differently. They feel secure not because everything is loud, intense, or repeatedly confirmed, but because the care has become steady enough to trust. Love feels stronger when the heart no longer has to keep defending its belief in it. Shared routines create emotional rhythm. Shared routines create emotional rhythm because love becomes stronger when two lives begin to move in familiar patterns. Big moments may be memorable, but repeated small moments often shape attachment more deeply. The same morning message, the same evening call, the same walk, the same quiet meal, or the same little habit can slowly become part of how two people feel connected. This happens because the heart finds safety in rhythm. When something caring repeats, the nervous system begins to expect it. The person starts feeling that love is not random, unstable, or only available when emotions are high. It becomes woven into daily life. It becomes something they can feel even before it happens because the pattern has already taught them to trust it. Shared routines may look simple from the outside, but emotionally, they can become powerful. They create private meaning between two people. A small joke repeated every night can feel intimate. A regular check-in can feel like home. A simple habit can become a quiet promise that says, we have a place in each other's day. In love, routines matter because they turn affection into something lived, not just spoken. They make connection feel steady. They give the relationship a heartbeat. Without rhythm, love can feel like scattered moments. With rhythm, it begins to feel like a shared world. And once someone becomes part of your emotional routine, their absence feels different. It is not only the person you miss. You miss the rhythm they brought into your life. You miss the small, repeated moments that made ordinary days feel warmer, safer, and quietly connected. Meaning grows when defenses drop. Meaning grows when defenses drop because real connection cannot fully enter a guarded heart. Many people carry invisible armor into love. They smile, talk, flirt, and show interest, but underneath, they are still protecting themselves. They hold back their truth. They hide their needs. They measure every word. They pretend not to care too much because caring has hurt them before. Defenses are not always cold. Sometimes they look like humor, independence, silence, sarcasm, distance, or acting unbothered. These habits may protect a person from pain, but they also block deeper closeness. When someone is always defended, love can only touch the surface. The connection may feel pleasant, but it struggles to become meaningful because the real person remains partly hidden. Meaning begins to grow when those defenses slowly soften. A person says what they actually feel instead of what sounds safe. They admit when something matters. They allow themselves to be affected. They stop treating vulnerability like weakness. In that moment, the relationship becomes more than attraction. It becomes a place where truth can breathe. This shift is powerful because dropping defenses is an act of trust. It means someone believes they might be safe enough to be seen without being harmed. Every honest sentence, every softer reaction, every unguarded moment adds weight to the bond. And once defenses drop around you, the connection starts feeling different. Conversations become deeper. Silence becomes warmer. Affection becomes more believable. The person is no longer only sharing time with you. They are sharing the parts of themselves they usually protect from the world. The brain links comfort with consistency. The brain links comfort with consistency because safety becomes believable when it keeps showing up. One kind moment can feel good, but one kind moment is not always enough to calm a guarded heart. People may appreciate warmth, attention, or affection once, but they begin to trust it only when it becomes a pattern. The mind watches repetition closely because repetition teaches it what to expect. This is why consistency becomes emotionally powerful in love. When someone keeps showing up with patience, honesty, respect, and care, the brain starts connecting that person with stability. Their presence begins to feel less uncertain. Their affection feels less like luck. Their words feel easier to believe because their behavior keeps supporting them. Comfort without consistency can feel confusing. Someone may be gentle today and distant tomorrow. They may offer warmth in one moment, then leave the heart guessing in the next. That kind of unpredictability can make a person crave comfort while fearing it at the same time. But consistent comfort slowly removes that fear. It teaches the nervous system that peace will not disappear without warning. In love, this matters because people do not only attach to how someone makes them feel, they attach to how reliably that feeling returns. A steady goodnight message, a familiar tone, a respectful response, or the repeated feeling of being safe can become emotional proof over time. And once the brain links your presence with consistent comfort, attraction becomes deeper than excitement. The person begins to relax before anything even happens because your pattern has already spoken. You become associated with ease, safety, and the quiet belief that love does not have to keep changing shape to remain real. Patience makes care easier to receive. Patience makes care easier to receive because the heart closes when love feels rushed. Many people do not reject care because they do not want it. They reject it because it arrives too fast, too forcefully, or with too much expectation attached to it. When someone has been hurt, overwhelmed, disappointed, or pressured before, even kindness can feel suspicious if it does not give them room to breathe. Care needs space to feel safe. If someone demands immediate trust, instant openness, or quick emotional return, the other person may begin to feel trapped. They may wonder if the care is truly love, or if it is only a way to gain access, control, or validation. The body becomes tense because the affection feels like it comes with a hidden debt. Patience changes that. It tells the person, you can receive this at your own pace. That message softens resistance. It allows care to feel like a gift instead of a demand. A patient person does not force comfort. They offer it steadily. They do not punish hesitation. They understand that some hearts need time before they believe softness is real. In love, this kind of patience becomes deeply attractive because it respects the person's emotional timing. It does not shame them for being careful. It does not rush them out of their fear. It simply stays gentle long enough for trust to form naturally. And once someone realizes your care does not pressure them, they begin to receive it differently. Their guard lowers, their heart opens. What once felt difficult to accept begins to feel safe because your patience proves that your love is not trying to conquer them. Feelings feel valued when not treated as problems. Feelings feel valued when not treated as problems because emotions are not always asking to be fixed. Sometimes they are asking to be heard, understood, and allowed to exist without shame. Many people become careful with their emotions because they have learned that sadness makes others uncomfortable, anger gets judged, fear gets dismissed, and need gets treated like weakness. So they start hiding what they feel to avoid becoming a burden. When someone treats feelings like problems, the other person begins to feel unsafe. They may hear things like, "You are overthinking," "It is not that serious," or "Just move on." Even if the words are not meant to hurt, they can make the heart feel rejected. The person learns that their emotions are too much for the room, so they shrink, silence themselves, or pretend they are fine. But when feelings are received with patience, something changes. The person does not feel broken for having emotions. They do not feel rushed to become easier. They do not feel like their pain must be solved before they deserve tenderness. Their inner world is treated as meaningful, not inconvenient. In love, this creates deep closeness because it tells someone, "Your emotions are safe with me." That message can be powerful for a heart that has spent years being managed, corrected, or ignored. It allows honesty to return. And once someone feels that their feelings are valued instead of treated as problems, they begin to open more naturally. They trust that they can bring their truth into your presence without being made smaller. That kind of acceptance can make love feel emotionally safe. Respect keeps attraction alive longer. Respect keeps attraction alive longer because desire cannot stay healthy where dignity keeps getting damaged. A person may feel drawn to someone's beauty, confidence, voice, humor, or energy at first, but attraction begins to weaken when they feel ignored, insulted, controlled, embarrassed, or taken for granted. The heart may still care, but something inside starts protecting itself. Respect is what makes attraction feel safe enough to continue. It shows in the way someone speaks during disagreement, the way they honor boundaries, the way they listen without belittling, and the way they treat private feelings with care. It is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes, respect is simply not making someone regret being open with you. Without respect, even strong chemistry can turn into emotional tiredness. Compliments lose power when actions feel careless. Passion loses sweetness when someone feels small afterward. Attention stops feeling romantic when it comes with pressure, criticism, or disregard. Attraction may survive for a while on excitement, but it cannot stay alive forever where the person does not feel valued. In love, respect protects the emotional space where desire grows. It tells someone, your feelings matter, your boundaries matter, your voice matters, your dignity matters even when we disagree. That message creates a deeper kind of attraction because the person does not have to choose between wanting you and protecting themselves. And once someone feels respected by you consistently, their attraction becomes steadier. They do not only desire your presence, they trust it. They feel safe being close, safe being honest, and safe staying open. Respect keeps attraction alive because it gives desire something peaceful to rest on. Honesty grows where it is not punished. Honesty grows where it is not punished because truth needs safety before it can fully come out. Many people are not dishonest because they enjoy hiding things. Sometimes they hide because they have learned that truth can cost them peace. They may have been judged, shouted down, mocked, abandoned, misunderstood, or emotionally punished for saying what they really felt. So they become careful, they soften their words, they hide their disappointment, they pretend they are fine. They give half-truths because the full truth feels too risky. Over time, honesty becomes less about what they know and more about what they feel safe enough to reveal. When someone receives honesty with patience, the connection changes. The person begins to understand that truth will not automatically lead to rejection or conflict. They can admit fear without being called weak. They can express hurt without being blamed. They can confess confusion without being made to feel foolish. That kind of response teaches the heart that openness is safe here. In love, this creates deep intimacy because honesty is the doorway to being truly known. Without it, people only connect with edited versions of each other. But when honesty is protected, the real person begins to appear. The relationship becomes less about guessing and more about understanding. And once someone realizes they can tell you the truth without being punished for it, they begin to open more naturally. Their words become softer, deeper, and more real. They stop hiding every difficult feeling. Trust grows because your presence proves that honesty does not have to become danger. It can become closeness. Calm in uncertainty becomes unforgettable. Calm in uncertainty becomes unforgettable because people remember who helped them feel steady when nothing was clear. Anyone can seem peaceful when life is predictable, when answers are easy, and when emotions are organized. But uncertainty tests the nervous system. It brings questions, fear, waiting, confusion, and the uncomfortable feeling of not knowing what comes next. In those moments, many people become reactive. They panic, blame, withdraw, overthink, or try to control everything around them. Their energy makes the uncertainty feel even heavier. But a calm person creates a different atmosphere. They do not pretend everything is perfect. They do not deny the difficulty. They simply bring steadiness into a moment that could easily become overwhelming. This kind of calm can become deeply attractive because it gives the heart something to lean on. When someone stays gentle while the future is unclear, they teach the nervous system that not knowing does not have to mean falling apart. Their presence becomes connected to emotional balance. Their voice becomes connected to reassurance. Their patience becomes connected to safety. In love, uncertainty can reveal whether someone is emotionally safe. Do they become harsh when they are afraid? Do they disappear when things are unresolved? Do they make confusion worse with pressure and assumptions? Or do they stay grounded enough to protect the connection while answers are still forming? And once someone experiences your calm during uncertainty, they may never forget it. They remember that you did not add chaos to their fear. You did not make the unknown feel more dangerous. You became a quiet place of steadiness when their mind was searching for something solid to hold. Love grows through repair, not perfection. Love grows through repair, not perfection. Because no real connection stays untouched by misunderstanding, disappointment, silence, or emotional mistakes. Many people think love is strongest when nothing ever goes wrong, but that is not how trust is built. Perfect moments may feel beautiful, but repair shows whether the bond can survive real human weakness. Every relationship will face tension. Someone may say the wrong thing. Someone may withdraw out of fear. Someone may misunderstand a tone, miss a need, or hurt the other person without meaning to. What matters most is not whether mistakes happen. What matters is what happens after them. Does pride take over, or does care return? Does silence become punishment, or does honesty reopen the door? Repair is powerful because it teaches the heart that conflict does not have to mean abandonment. A sincere apology, a gentle conversation, changed behavior, and the willingness to understand can make love feel safer after pain. The person begins to realize that the connection is not fragile enough to break from one hard moment. It can bend, speak, soften, and heal. Perfection can create pressure because it makes people afraid to be human. Repair creates trust because it allows two imperfect people to keep choosing each other with more awareness. It says, "We may struggle, but we will not turn our struggle into cruelty." And once someone experiences repair with you, love deepens differently. They stop fearing every disagreement as the end. They stop hiding every hurt. They begin to believe that mistakes can become doorways into greater understanding. Love grows stronger when two people know how to return to each other after being shaken. A real apology can deepen closeness. A real apology can deepen closeness because it shows that someone values the relationship more than their pride. Many people say sorry only to end tension, escape guilt, or make the other person stop feeling hurt. But a real apology is different. It does not rush past the pain. It does not turn the blame around. It does not make the wounded person feel guilty for needing repair. A real apology begins with recognition. It says, "I see what I did, and I understand that it affected you." That kind of honesty can reach deeply because many people have been hurt by people who refused to admit anything. They were left carrying pain while the other person acted innocent, defensive, or annoyed. So when someone takes responsibility without being forced, the heart feels something rare, emotional respect. This kind of apology creates safety because it proves that mistakes will not be hidden behind ego. It shows that the person can face discomfort without becoming cruel. They can hear pain without dismissing it. They can accept correction without making love feel dangerous. In relationships, this matters because closeness is not destroyed by every mistake. It is destroyed when mistakes are denied, repeated, or handled carelessly. A real apology can become a bridge back to trust because it tells the other person their feelings matter enough to be taken seriously. And once someone receives an apology that feels honest, soft, and accountable, the bond can deepen. They no longer feel alone with the wound. They feel met inside it. That kind of repair can make love feel safer than perfection ever could. Trust grows when disappointment is heard kindly. Trust grows when disappointment is heard kindly because the heart watches closely when it reveals pain. It is easy to listen when someone is happy, grateful, excited, or easy to understand. But when someone says, "That hurt me," or "I felt forgotten," or "I expected more from you," the moment becomes emotionally important. The way you respond can either make them feel safer with you or teach them to hide their feelings next time. Disappointment is vulnerable because it carries both pain and hope. A person does not usually express disappointment to someone they do not care about. They speak because something mattered. They wanted to feel considered, respected, chosen, or understood. If their disappointment is met with anger, sarcasm, defensiveness, or blame, they may regret opening up. They may begin to believe that honesty creates distance. But when disappointment is heard kindly, trust begins to grow. A kind response says, "Your feelings are not an attack. I want to understand what happened inside you." That message can calm the nervous system. It makes difficult honesty feel less dangerous. It shows emotional maturity because you are not only kind when you are praised, you are kind when you are being confronted with pain. In love, this becomes powerful because people need to know their hurt will not be punished. They need to feel that speaking honestly will not make them lose warmth, respect, or closeness. And once someone experiences their disappointment being received with patience, they begin to trust you more deeply. They stop burying small hurts until they become heavy. They believe the relationship has room for truth, repair, and emotional safety. Emotional protection can make love feel sacred. Emotional protection can make love feel sacred because it gives someone the rare feeling that their heart is being handled with care. Many people enter love carrying hidden wounds from places where their feelings were exposed, mocked, ignored, or used against them. They may want closeness, but they are also afraid of what could happen if the wrong person gets access to their softest parts. This is why emotional protection becomes so powerful. It is not about controlling someone or shielding them from every uncomfortable truth. It is about being careful with what they trusted you to see. It means you do not use their secrets during arguments. You do not make jokes out of their pain. You do not shame their sensitivity. You do not turn their vulnerability into a weapon when you are angry. When someone feels emotionally protected, love begins to feel different. It becomes more than attraction, conversation, or affection. It becomes a place of safety. The person feels that their inner world is not being treated casually. Their fears, memories, dreams, and fragile emotions are held with respect. This kind of protection creates deep attachment because it tells the heart, "You are safe with me, even in your most unguarded moments." That message can feel almost sacred to someone who has spent years protecting themselves from being hurt. And once someone realizes you protect what they reveal instead of exploiting it, their trust grows quietly but deeply. They begin to open with less fear. They begin to love with more softness. Your presence becomes connected to emotional shelter, and that kind of love feels rare, serious, and unforgettable. Deep love often protects your peace. Deep love often protects your peace because real affection does not keep dragging your nervous system into survival. Many people mistake emotional disturbance for passion. They think love must come with constant worry, waiting, proving, explaining, and recovering from pain. But deep love is different. It does not only ask how strongly you feel, it also asks what happens to your inner world when that person enters it. A love that protects your peace does not mean there will never be problems. It means problems are not used to destroy your dignity. Conflict does not become a battlefield. Silence does not become punishment. Honesty does not become danger. You can have hard conversations without feeling like your whole emotional safety is being threatened. This kind of love feels powerful because it gives your heart room to breathe. You are not constantly guessing where you stand. You are not begging for basic respect. You are not shrinking yourself to avoid someone's mood. Instead, you feel steadier. You feel clearer. You feel more connected to yourself, not less. Deep love protects your peace by respecting your boundaries, speaking with care, showing consistency, and making repair possible after tension. It does not demand that you abandon yourself just to keep the connection alive. It does not make chaos feel romantic or confusion feel normal. And once someone experiences love that protects their peace, they begin to understand attraction differently. The loudest connection is not always the deepest. The most intense person is not always the safest. Sometimes, the love that matters most is the one that lets your soul stop bracing, your mind stop fighting, and your heart finally rest without fear. People fall for feeling chosen, not owned. People fall for feeling chosen, not owned, because love feels strongest when it comes with freedom. Being chosen tells a person, "I want you here because you matter to me." Being owned says, "I need to control you so I can feel secure." At first, these two can look similar. Both may come with attention, desire, jealousy, and strong emotional reactions. But the body can feel the difference. When someone feels chosen, they feel valued without feeling trapped. Their presence is appreciated, but their freedom is respected. They can have space, thoughts, friendships, silence, and individuality without being accused of pulling away. Love does not become a cage. Affection does not come with invisible chains. Ownership creates pressure. It turns care into monitoring. It makes someone feel responsible for another person's insecurity. They may begin to explain too much, hide harmless things, or shrink their life just to avoid conflict. Over time, the attraction weakens because the relationship no longer feels like warmth. It feels like control wearing the language of love. Being chosen feels different because it allows desire to stay clean. The person knows you want them, but you do not need to possess them. You care, but you do not erase their independence. You hold them close, but you still let them breathe. And once someone feels chosen without being owned, their heart relaxes into the connection. They do not stay because they are afraid of your reaction. They stay because your love makes freedom feel safe. That kind of love becomes powerful because it does not steal the self. It honors the person, then lets them choose you back. Balance makes affection feel safe. Balance makes affection feel safe because love becomes easier to receive when it does not feel overwhelming, unstable, or hungry for control. Many people have experienced affection that comes too strong in one moment and disappears in the next. One day, someone is warm, present, and full of attention. The next day, they become distant, cold, distracted, or emotionally unavailable. This kind of affection confuses the heart because it never knows what version of love will appear. Balanced affection feels different. It is warm without being suffocating. It is steady without being boring. It is caring without being desperate. It gives attention, but it also respects space. It shows desire, but it does not turn desire into pressure. That kind of balance tells the nervous system, you can trust this. You do not have to brace for a sudden change. This is why balance becomes attractive in love. It removes the fear that closeness will become too much or suddenly become nothing. A person can relax because your affection does not feel like emotional weather. It does not flood them, then leave them dry. It does not demand constant reassurance or punish natural distance. In relationships, balanced affection creates peace because it lets both people breathe. It allows love to feel alive without becoming chaotic. It allows closeness without losing individuality. It allows tenderness without making the other person responsible for your entire emotional state. And once someone experiences affection that feels balanced, they begin to trust it more deeply. They do not feel trapped by your love or abandoned by your silence. They feel held, respected, and free enough to come closer naturally. Love deepens when your mind is valued. Love deepens when your mind is valued because people do not only want to be desired, they want to be understood, respected, and taken seriously. Attraction may begin with appearance, energy, or chemistry, but deeper love grows when someone shows interest in how you think. They care about your opinions, your ideas, your questions, your doubts, your way of seeing the world, and the quiet meanings behind your words. Many people know what it feels like to be wanted but not listened to. Someone may enjoy their presence, compliment their beauty, or crave their attention, yet still dismiss their thoughts. That kind of love can feel empty because it touches the surface while ignoring the inner life. The person may feel admired but not truly known. When your mind is valued, the connection becomes different. You feel safe sharing thoughts that are unfinished, unusual, emotional, or deeply personal. You do not have to make every idea sound perfect before speaking. You do not feel foolish for thinking deeply or seeing things differently. Your thoughts are not treated as noise. They are treated as a doorway into who you are. This creates intimacy because the mind is one of the most private parts of a person. When someone respects it, they are not just loving your presence. They are entering your inner world with care. And once someone feels that their mind matters to you, love becomes more serious. They begin to feel mentally held, not just emotionally wanted. They feel that their thoughts have a place beside you, and that kind of respect can make attachment grow deeper, calmer, and harder to replace. Natural care feels better than strategy. Natural care feels better than strategy because the heart can sense when affection is being calculated. Some people know exactly what to say, when to appear, when to pull away, when to give attention, and when to create emotional hunger. On the surface, it may look like confidence or romance, but underneath, something feels controlled. The care does not feel like it is flowing from warmth. It feels like it is being used to produce a reaction. Natural care feels different. It does not move like a performance. It remembers because it was listening, not because it was collecting points. It checks in because it genuinely wants to know, not because it is trying to become unforgettable. It gives comfort without making the other person feel indebted. This kind of care reaches deeper because it feels honest. In love, people do not only respond to what you do, they respond to the emotional intention behind it. A beautiful message can feel empty if it is sent as a tactic. A small gesture can feel powerful if it comes from sincerity. The body notices the difference between being handled and being cared for. Strategy often creates tension because the person receiving it may feel studied, managed, or emotionally guided towards someone else's goal. Natural care creates safety because it does not feel like a trap. It lets affection breathe. It allows the other person to receive kindness without wondering what is being expected in return. And once someone experiences care that feels natural, they begin to trust it more deeply. They feel chosen without being played. They feel valued without being controlled. That kind of care can become quietly addictive because it feels real in a world where many people turn love into technique. A thoughtful pause can feel intimate. A thoughtful pause can feel intimate because it shows that someone is not just reacting to you, they are truly receiving you. Many people answer too quickly. They rush to speak, defend, advise, impress, or fill silence because they are uncomfortable with stillness. But when someone pauses before responding, it can create a powerful emotional feeling. It tells the other person, "What you said matters enough for me to hold it carefully." This kind of pause is different from cold silence. Cold silence creates distance. A thoughtful pause creates depth. It gives the conversation weight. It shows emotional presence. It makes the other person feel that their words did not just pass through the air and disappear. They landed somewhere. In love, this matters because people want to feel heard beyond the surface. A thoughtful pause can make a simple conversation feel deeper because it proves that the listener is not only waiting for their turn. They are considering the feeling, the meaning, and the truth behind the words. That kind of attention can feel more intimate than a fast compliment. A pause also creates safety during vulnerable moments. When someone shares something personal, a rushed reply can feel careless, even if it is kind. But a gentle pause before speaking can make them feel respected. It allows emotion to breathe before language tries to shape it. And once someone experiences your pauses as careful instead of empty, they may begin to trust your presence more deeply. They feel that you do not treat their thoughts casually. You give their words space. You make them feel important without needing to say much. That quiet attention can become unforgettable. Love notices what words hide. Love notices what words hide because the deepest emotions are not always spoken clearly. Many people say, "I am fine," when they are tired. They laugh when something hurts. They change the subject when a memory becomes too heavy. They speak casually about things that still ache inside them. Words can protect, distract, or cover the truth, but love pays attention to what sits underneath them. This is why being noticed beyond words feels so powerful. A person may not be ready to explain their sadness, fear, jealousy, confusion, or disappointment. They may not even understand it fully themselves. But when someone senses the emotion behind their voice, the tiredness behind their smile, or the silence behind their answer, it creates a feeling of being deeply seen. Most people are used to being taken at surface level. If they say they are okay, others move on. If they smile, others assume nothing is wrong. If they stay quiet, others ignore the meaning inside that quietness. But love looks more carefully. It does not force confession, but it notices the shift. It hears what was softened. It feels what was avoided. In relationships, this kind of awareness creates intimacy because it tells someone, "You do not have to scream your pain before I take it seriously." That message can reach a lonely place inside them. And once someone realizes you can notice what their words are trying to hide, they begin to feel safer with you. They trust that their inner world will not be missed completely. Your attention becomes a quiet shelter because you hear not only what they say, but what their heart could not yet say out loud. Softness feels safer around respectful people. Softness feels safer around respectful people because tenderness needs protection before it can fully appear. Many people are not naturally cold. They became guarded because their softness was mishandled. They were laughed at when they cared too much. ignored when they needed comfort, judged when they opened up, or treated as weak for having emotions. So they learned to cover their gentler parts with distance, humor, silence, or strength. Respect changes the emotional atmosphere. It tells someone that their softness will not be used against them. Their tears will not become a joke. Their honesty will not become gossip. Their needs will not be treated like inconvenience. Their vulnerable moments will not be turned into weapons during future conflict. Around respectful people, the heart does not feel foolish for being open. This is why respect can make someone feel emotionally safe enough to soften. They do not have to act harder than they are. They do not have to hide every feeling behind pride. They do not have to pretend nothing touches them. The respectful person creates a space where softness is not punished, rushed, or exploited. In love, this becomes deeply powerful because many people are starving for a place where they can be gentle without losing dignity. They want to be cared for without being controlled. They want to be emotional without being reduced. They want to be known without being handled carelessly. And once someone feels that their softness is safe around you, they begin to open in quiet ways. Their voice becomes more honest. Their guard lowers. Their affection becomes warmer. Not because you forced it, but because your respect made their tenderness feel protected. Consistency builds trust through changing moods. Consistency builds trust through changing moods because love feels safest when care does not disappear every time emotions shift. Many people are gentle when they are happy, available when they are excited, and affectionate when everything feels easy. But the real test of trust is what happens when someone is tired, stressed, irritated, disappointed, or emotionally low. Changing moods can make relationships feel unstable when care rises and falls too sharply. One day, someone is warm and attentive. The next day, they are distant, cold, impatient, or careless. The other person begins to wonder which version is real. They start reading every tone, every pause, every delayed reply, trying to predict whether love is still safe. This creates anxiety instead of closeness. Consistency does not mean someone must always feel the same. It means their respect remains even when their mood changes. They may be tired, but they are not cruel. They may need space, but they do not punish. They may be upset, but they still communicate with care. This kind of steadiness teaches the nervous system that emotions can change without the connection becoming dangerous. In love, this becomes deeply attractive because it proves emotional reliability. A person begins to trust that they will not be loved only on good days. They will not be treated gently only when it is convenient. They will not have to fear every shift in energy as a sign of rejection. And once someone experiences your consistency through changing moods, their heart begins to settle. They stop bracing for sudden emotional weather. They begin to believe that your care has roots deeper than temporary feelings, and that kind of trust can make love feel steady, safe, and real. Repeated kindness strengthens attraction. Repeated kindness strengthens attraction because the heart slowly begins to trust what keeps arriving gently. One kind act can make someone feel good for a moment. It can create warmth, surprise, or appreciation. But repeated kindness does something deeper. It becomes a pattern the mind starts believing in, a rhythm the body starts relaxing into, and a quiet proof that your goodness is not only temporary. Many people are used to kindness that appears only when someone wants something. They have experienced sweetness in the beginning, care during pursuit, and warmth when it was convenient. Then, slowly, the softness disappears. This teaches the heart to be careful. It learns not to trust every gentle word or thoughtful gesture too quickly. But when kindness repeats, the person begins to feel differently. They notice that your care is not random. You are gentle when there is no audience. You are considerate when no reward is promised. You are soft not only in romantic moments, but also in ordinary ones. That consistency makes kindness feel real. In love, repeated kindness becomes attractive because it creates emotional safety. It tells someone, I do not have to fear what version of you will appear today. Small acts begin to collect meaning. A patient reply, a thoughtful check-in, a respectful tone, or a quiet moment of support can become more powerful than dramatic passion. And once someone experiences your kindness again and again, attraction grows with trust. They do not only like how you make them feel in one moment, They begin to love the pattern of peace you bring into their life. Your kindness becomes familiar, and familiarity becomes emotional attachment. Emotional steadiness feels rare and beautiful. Emotional steadiness feels rare and beautiful because many people have known love that changes shape too often. One moment, someone is warm, interested, and full of affection. The next moment, they become distant, cold, defensive, or impossible to read. This kind of instability makes the heart tired. It teaches a person to watch moods closely, measure every response, and prepare for sudden emotional weather. So when someone is steady, the feeling is powerful. Their care does not disappear because they had a hard day. Their respect does not vanish because they are upset. Their tone does not become cruel because emotions are uncomfortable. They may still feel stress, sadness, irritation, or fear, but they do not turn every feeling into danger for the people close to them. This kind of steadiness becomes beautiful because it creates peace. It lets someone breathe without constantly wondering which version of you they will meet. It makes affection feel safer because it is not tied to unpredictable moods. It makes honesty feel easier because the person does not fear being punished for speaking at the wrong time. In love, emotional steadiness becomes deeply attractive because it proves inner strength. It shows that someone can feel deeply without becoming destructive. They can care without becoming possessive. They can disagree without becoming harsh. They can struggle without making the relationship feel unsafe. And once someone experiences emotional steadiness with you, they may begin to crave it quietly, not because it is loud or dramatic, but because it gives their heart a kind of rest they may not have known before. Steadiness becomes beautiful because it makes love feel safe enough to trust. Love makes private thoughts feel less lonely. Love makes private thoughts feel less lonely because the mind can be a quiet room where many people live alone. A person may speak all day, smile in public, answer messages, and seem connected, yet still carry thoughts they never say out loud. They may wonder if anyone would understand their fears, strange ideas, old memories, hidden dreams, or the quiet questions that visit them at night. Private thoughts can feel heavy when they have nowhere safe to go. The person may begin to believe their inner world is too complicated, too emotional, too unusual, or too much for others. So they keep everything inside. They become surrounded by people, but still feel alone in the deepest part of themselves. Love changes that when it creates a space where those thoughts can be spoken without shame. When someone listens to what is usually hidden, the person begins to feel less isolated inside their own mind. They can share the small worries, the quiet hopes, the unfinished ideas, and the feelings they never knew how to explain. Your presence becomes a place where their inner world finally has company. This kind of connection is powerful because it does not only touch the heart, it touches the mind's loneliness. It tells someone, you do not have to carry every thought by yourself. That message can feel deeply comforting to a person who has spent years being misunderstood or unheard. And once someone feels that their private thoughts are safe with you, love becomes more intimate. They no longer feel trapped inside themselves. They begin to associate your presence with mental relief, emotional warmth, and the rare freedom of being understood from the inside. Peaceful people become hard to forget. Peaceful people become hard to forget because they leave behind a feeling the nervous system wants to remember. They may not be the loudest person in the room. They may not demand attention, create drama, or force themselves into someone's mind. But their presence has a quiet weight. They make life feel softer, conversations feel safer, and emotions feel less dangerous. Many people are used to being around energy that takes from them. They deal with people who interrupt their peace, rush their emotions, judge their silence, or make simple moments feel heavy. So when they meet someone peaceful, the contrast becomes powerful. The heart notices the difference. The body notices the ease. The mind notices that it does not have to prepare for conflict, confusion, or emotional pressure. Peaceful people become unforgettable because they give others something rare. Rest without needing to escape. Around them, you do not have to perform strength. You do not have to explain every mood. You do not have to become louder to be seen. Their calm presence creates a kind of emotional shelter, and shelter is remembered deeply by those who have spent too long feeling exposed. In love, peace can become more magnetic than chaos because it does not leave the heart exhausted. It does not make someone addicted to fear. It teaches them that closeness can feel steady, warm, and safe. And once someone feels true peace around you, They may carry that memory long after the moment ends. They remember your tone, your patience, your stillness, and the way being near you made life feel less heavy. That kind of peace does not disappear easily. Safe love reveals unfinished parts. Safe love reveals unfinished parts because the heart only shows its hidden work when it no longer feels in danger. Many people enter love carrying pieces of themselves that are still healing, still confused, still afraid, or still learning how to trust. They may look mature, calm, independent, or confident, but inside, there are places that have not fully settled. These unfinished parts do not always appear immediately. At first, a person may show the version of themselves that feels easiest to accept. They may hide their insecurity, their fear of abandonment, their need for reassurance, their old sadness, or the memories that still shape how they react. They are not trying to be false. They are trying to stay safe. But safe love changes what the heart is willing to reveal. When someone responds with patience instead of judgment, gentleness instead of pressure, and consistency instead of emotional confusion, the guarded parts begin to surface. The person starts admitting what still hurts. They speak about fears they normally cover. They show emotions they once believed would make them too difficult to love. This is powerful because being unfinished is one of the most human things about us. No one enters love fully healed, perfectly secure, or completely untouched by the past. Safe love does not demand perfection before closeness. It gives people room to be honest about where they are still growing. And once someone feels safe enough to reveal their unfinished parts around you, the bond becomes deeper. They are no longer only sharing their polished self. They are trusting you with the version of them that is still becoming whole. Intimacy begins when pretending ends. Intimacy begins when pretending ends because real closeness cannot grow around a performance. Many people enter love trying to look easier than they feel. They act calm when they are anxious, confident when they are insecure, unaffected when they are hurt, and strong when they are silently tired. They hide the truth because they fear that being real will make them less desirable. Pretending may protect someone from rejection, but it also keeps love from reaching them fully. When a person is always performing, the other person can only connect with the mask. They may admire the smile, the humor, the confidence, or the control, but they are not touching the deeper self beneath it. This can create a lonely kind of connection where someone is liked but still feels unknown. Intimacy begins when the performance slowly drops. A person admits what they actually feel. They stop polishing every reaction. They allow sadness, need, fear, softness, confusion, and honesty to enter the room. They no longer treat their humanity like something that must be hidden to keep affection. In love, this moment is powerful because it replaces image with truth. The connection becomes less about being impressive and more about being seen. The heart begins to feel that it does not have to earn closeness through acting perfect. And once someone feels safe enough to stop pretending around you, the bond changes. Their laughter becomes more real. Their words become more honest. Their silence becomes less guarded. You are no longer close to the version they created for protection. You are close to the person underneath, and that is where intimacy truly begins. Silence feels deeper when understood. Silence feels deeper when understood because not every quiet moment is empty. Sometimes silence carries sadness, peace, fear, tiredness, affection, confusion, or thoughts too heavy to say out loud. Many people are uncomfortable with silence because they do not know how to read it. They rush to fill it, question it, fear it, or turn it into a sign that something is wrong. But when silence is understood, it becomes intimate. It tells a person they do not have to explain every shift inside them before they deserve patience. They do not have to translate every emotion into perfect words. They do not have to perform cheerfulness just to keep someone from misunderstanding them. Their quietness is allowed to exist without being punished. This kind of understanding creates closeness because it respects what words cannot carry. A person may not be ready to speak, but they can still feel safe. They may be sitting in a feeling they cannot name, and your calm presence gives them permission to feel it without pressure. That kind of patience can be more comforting than advice. In love, understood silence becomes powerful because it shows emotional awareness. It means someone can sense the difference between distance and rest, between anger and overwhelm, between rejection and quiet need. They do not force every silence open. They stay gentle enough for truth to arrive naturally. And once someone feels that their silence is understood by you, They begin to trust your presence in a deeper way. They feel known beyond language. They feel safe even when words fail. That kind of quiet understanding can make silence feel less like absence and more like love. Tenderness matters most. When someone could hurt you. Tenderness matters most when someone could hurt you because love becomes real when power is handled with care. It is easy to seem gentle when there is nothing at stake. It is easy to be kind when no one has exposed their heart, admitted a fear, shared a weakness, or trusted you with something fragile. But the true measure of someone's love appears when they have access to your softest places and still choose not to wound them. When a person opens up, they give another person emotional power. They reveal what embarrasses them, what scares them, what still hurts, what they secretly need, and what they hope will not be used against them. In the wrong hands, those truths can become weapons. A private fear can become an insult during conflict. A vulnerable confession can become gossip. A mistake can become a permanent reminder of shame. That is why tenderness in those moments feels so powerful. It tells the heart, even though I know where you are soft, I will not use it to break you. This kind of care creates deep trust because it proves restraint. It shows that someone can be upset without becoming cruel, disappointed without becoming careless, and close without becoming dangerous. In love, tenderness is not only softness, it is protection. It is the discipline to hold someone's vulnerability with respect, especially when emotions are intense. And once someone sees that you could hurt them but choose gentleness instead, the bond changes. They begin to feel safe in a way words alone cannot create. Your tenderness becomes proof that their heart is not just wanted, but protected. Real love feels like rest, not work. Real love feels like rest, not work, because the heart was never meant to live in constant emotional labor. Many people confuse love with endless proving, explaining, chasing, fixing, forgiving, and carrying the weight of a connection alone. They think love must always feel difficult to be meaningful, as if exhaustion is proof of devotion. But love that constantly drains you may not be deep. It may only be demanding. When love feels like work all the time, the nervous system never rests. You begin to measure every word, manage every mood, and prepare for every possible misunderstanding. You start asking yourself what version of you will be acceptable today. That kind of connection may create attachment, but it does not create peace. Real love still requires effort, but it does not require self-abandonment. It asks for honesty, patience, repair, and care. But it does not ask you to lose your mind trying to keep someone close. It does not make you feel like you must earn basic respect. It does not turn affection into a task you are always failing. Restful love feels different. It gives you room to breathe. You can be tired without apologizing. You can be honest without fear. You can be quiet without being punished. You can exist without constantly performing your worth. And once someone experiences love that feels like rest, they begin to understand what safety really means. It is not the absence of effort. It is the absence of constant emotional survival. Real love does not make your heart work endlessly for peace. It becomes one of the few places where peace finally finds you. Steady affection after conflict builds trust. Steady affection after conflict builds trust because the heart watches what happens after tension more closely than what happens during easy moments. Many people fear conflict not only because of the disagreement itself, but because of what may follow. They fear coldness, punishment, distance, withdrawal, insults, or the sudden feeling that love has been taken away. When affection disappears completely after conflict, the nervous system learns to panic. A person may start hiding their feelings, avoiding difficult conversations, or apologizing for things they did not do just to restore warmth. The relationship begins to feel unsafe because love seems conditional. It feels available only when everything is peaceful, pleasant, and easy to manage. Steady affection changes that fear. It does not mean pretending nothing happened. It does not mean ignoring the issue or forcing closeness too quickly. It means that even while working through the problem, respect remains, kindness remains, care remains. The person still feels human, valued, and emotionally connected, even when something needs repair. This kind of steadiness teaches the heart that conflict does not have to threaten the entire bond. It shows that disagreement is not the same as rejection. It proves that love can stay present while two people are trying to understand each other. And once someone experiences steady affection after conflict, they begin to trust more deeply. They stop seeing every difficult conversation as a doorway to abandonment. They feel safer being honest because they know warmth will not vanish completely. That kind of trust makes love stronger because the heart learns it can survive tension without losing connection. Calm can feel boring after chaos. Calm can feel boring after chaos because the nervous system may not recognize peace as love at first. When someone has spent years around emotional highs and lows, unpredictable affection, sudden distance, intense arguments, dramatic apologies, and constant uncertainty, their body becomes trained to expect love with tension inside it. The relationship may have hurt them, but the emotional rush made it feel alive. So when calm love appears, it can feel strange. There is no panic to decode, no emotional chase to win, no sudden withdrawal to fear, no dangerous silence to survive. The person may begin to wonder if something is missing, when in reality, what is missing is the chaos their body became used to. Peace feels empty because the nervous system has mistaken instability for passion. This is why safe people are sometimes overlooked. They do not activate the same anxiety. They do not create obsession through confusion. They do not make someone feel desperate for reassurance. Instead, they bring steadiness, patience, clarity, and emotional warmth. But to a heart familiar with chaos, that steadiness can feel too quiet at first. In love, this becomes important because healing often feels unfamiliar before it feels good. A calm connection may not flood the body with fear and excitement, but it gives something deeper: rest. It teaches the heart that love does not have to be earned through suffering or proven through emotional survival. And once someone learns to stop confusing chaos with chemistry, calm begins to feel beautiful. What once seemed boring starts feeling safe. What once felt too quiet starts feeling like peace. Love becomes less about the storm and more about finally being able to breathe. Peace teaches the heart safety. Peace teaches the heart safety because many people have learned to expect love to come with tension. They are used to wondering, waiting, explaining, proving, or preparing for the next emotional shift. Their heart may want closeness, but their body keeps expecting danger. So even when love is present, they may not know how to relax inside it. Peace changes that slowly. It does not force the heart to trust all at once. It teaches through repeated moments of calm, a gentle conversation after misunderstanding, a respectful tone during conflict, a steady presence after vulnerability, a love that does not disappear when things become uncomfortable. Each peaceful moment becomes a lesson the nervous system can understand. This is why peace can feel strange at first. A person who is used to chaos may not recognize safety immediately. They may confuse calm with boredom, consistency with lack of passion, and emotional steadiness with absence of intensity. But peace is not empty. Peace is the space where the heart stops fighting for basic security. In love, peace becomes powerful because it gives the person room to heal without constantly defending themselves. They do not have to shrink to avoid conflict. They do not have to perform to keep affection. They do not have to fear honesty, silence, or boundaries. And once peace begins teaching the heart safety, love feels different. The person starts breathing easier. They stop mistaking anxiety for desire. They begin to understand that real affection does not always shake the soul. Sometimes it steadies it. Peace becomes the quiet proof that love can be warm, close, and safe without hurting first. Honesty feels easier around safe people. Honesty feels easier around safe people because truth needs a gentle place to land. Many people are not naturally closed off. They became careful because their honesty was once mishandled. They told the truth and were mocked. They expressed pain and were blamed. They admitted fear and were called weak. They shared a need and were treated like a burden. After enough moments like that, the heart learns to edit itself. Safe people change that pattern. They do not make honesty feel like danger. They listen without turning every truth into an argument. They ask questions without making the other person feel interrogated. They can hear discomfort without becoming cruel, defensive, or dismissive. Their presence tells the nervous system, "You can speak here and you will still be respected." This is why honesty becomes easier around them. A person no longer has to calculate every sentence. They do not have to soften every feeling until it becomes harmless. They do not have to hide disappointment, confusion, affection, fear, or need just to keep peace. They can say what is real without feeling like the relationship will collapse. In love, this kind of safety creates deep intimacy because honesty is the path to being known. Without it, people only meet each other's edited versions. But when honesty feels safe, the real person starts to appear. Their words become more direct. Their emotions become less hidden. Their trust becomes more alive. And once someone realizes they can be honest with you without losing warmth, respect, or connection, they begin to open naturally. Your presence becomes a place where truth does not have to wear armor. That kind of safety makes love feel real. Strong connection allows full humanity. Strong connection allows full humanity because real love does not ask a person to cut themselves into acceptable pieces. Many people are used to being loved only when they are easy, pleasant, calm, useful, attractive, funny, or emotionally convenient. They learn which parts of themselves receive approval and which parts create discomfort. So they begin hiding the messy, tired, uncertain, needy, angry, quiet, or wounded sides of who they are. But a strong connection creates room for the whole person. It does not only welcome the bright version, it also has patience for the version that is still learning, healing, questioning, and growing. It allows someone to have fears without becoming a burden, boundaries without being called cold, emotions without being labeled dramatic, and mistakes without being reduced to them. This is powerful because everyone wants to feel accepted beyond performance. A person may enjoy being admired, but what they deeply crave is the safety to be human. They want to know they can have bad days and still be loved. They can be honest and still be respected. They can be imperfect and still be held with dignity. In love, full humanity matters because no one can stay polished forever. Life will reveal softness, weakness, confusion, and pain. If the connection cannot hold those parts, it remains shallow. But if it can, trust deepens. And once someone feels fully human around you, the bond becomes difficult to replace. They are not just loved for their best moments, they are accepted in their realness. That kind of connection gives the heart permission to stop pretending and finally rest in the truth of being seen. Lasting love protects peace, not just feelings. Lasting love protects peace, not just feelings, because emotions can change from moment to moment, but peace is what allows the relationship to remain safe. Many people focus only on whether they feel loved, desired, missed, or wanted, but they ignore what the connection is doing to their inner world. A relationship can have strong feelings and still destroy someone's calm. It can be passionate and still make the heart feel unsafe. Feelings alone are not enough to sustain love. Feelings can be loud after an apology, intense after distance, sweet after conflict, and powerful during desire. But if the connection keeps creating anxiety, confusion, fear, and emotional exhaustion, then love begins to feel like survival. The heart may still care, but the mind becomes tired from constantly trying to recover. Peace matters because it protects the space where love can breathe. It shows in honest communication, gentle conflict, respected boundaries, emotional consistency, and the ability to repair without cruelty. When peace is protected, both people feel safe enough to be honest, soft, imperfect, and real. This does not mean lasting love avoids difficult emotions. It means difficult emotions are handled in a way that does not destroy dignity. Anger does not become punishment. Hurt does not become manipulation. Fear does not become control. Silence does not become a weapon. And once someone experiences love that protects their peace, they begin to understand what lasting safety feels like. They no longer measure love only by intensity. They measure it by whether their soul can rest beside someone without constantly bracing for pain. That kind of love does not just touch feelings, it protects the life around them. The strongest love lets the soul rest. The strongest love lets the soul rest because it does not keep turning closeness into emotional survival. Many people have known connections that looked like love from the outside, but felt like labor on the inside. They were always explaining, waiting, forgiving, proving, fixing, guessing, or trying to become easier to keep. Their heart was involved, but their soul was tired. A love that lets the soul rest feels different. It does not make peace feel temporary. It does not make someone afraid that one mistake, one quiet day, or one honest feeling will cost them affection. It gives room for softness without punishment, truth without fear, and closeness without control. The person no longer feels like they must constantly earn their place. This kind of love becomes powerful because it reaches beyond excitement. It touches the deepest need in a human being, the need to feel safe while being real. Around that kind of love, the body stops bracing. The mind stops searching for hidden danger. The heart stops confusing anxiety with passion. The person begins to feel that they can finally exist without being emotionally chased by fear. In love, rest does not mean emptiness. It means safety has become strong enough for the soul to stop defending itself. It means the connection holds warmth without chaos, desire without pressure, and commitment without possession. And once someone experiences love that lets their soul rest, they may never want to return to anything that keeps them emotionally restless. They understand that the deepest love is not the one that consumes them, but the one that gives them back to themselves. Love feels deeper. When someone respects your emotional pace, love feels deeper when someone respects your emotional pace because the heart does not open on command. Some people need time before they trust, speak, soften, or fully receive affection. They may care deeply, but their emotions move carefully because past experiences taught them that rushing can lead to pain. When someone tries to force closeness too quickly, even good intentions can feel like pressure. Respecting emotional pace creates safety. It tells the person, "You do not have to become ready before you are ready." That message can be healing because many people have been made to feel guilty for needing time. They were told they were distant, difficult, confusing, or too guarded, when really they were just protecting a heart that had learned caution. When someone allows emotions to unfold naturally, trust begins to grow without resistance. The person does not feel chased. They do not feel judged for needing space. They do not feel like love is a test they must pass quickly. Instead, they feel invited into closeness at a rhythm their nervous system can handle. In love, this patience can become deeply attractive because it proves emotional maturity. It shows that you care about their comfort, not just your own desire for access. You are not trying to conquer their heart. You are learning how to meet it gently. And once someone feels that their emotional pace is respected, they begin to relax. They stop seeing closeness as a threat. They stop fearing that vulnerability will be demanded before safety is built. Love becomes deeper because it is no longer being forced open. It is allowed to bloom, and what blooms without pressure often stays rooted longer, quietly, safely, honestly, warmly, and with far less fear inside. The heart opens faster. Around people who do not make softness feel risky. The heart opens faster around people who do not make softness feel risky because vulnerability always listens for danger before it speaks. Many people are not closed because they are cold. They are closed because something in their past taught them that tenderness can be punished. They once cared too much, trusted too quickly, cried too openly, or needed too honestly, and someone made them regret it. So they learn to protect their softness. They become careful with affection. They laugh instead of admitting hurt. They act strong when they are scared. They hide their need for comfort because they fear being seen as weak, dramatic, or too much. Around unsafe people, softness feels like handing someone a weapon. But when someone is gentle, respectful, and emotionally steady, the heart begins to notice. It realizes that softness may not be dangerous here. A kind response after honesty, a calm tone during tension, and patience during silence can slowly teach the nervous system that vulnerability will not be attacked. This creates deep attraction because the person feels emotionally free. They do not have to keep proving strength. They do not have to hide every fragile feeling. They can care openly without fearing that their care will be used against them. Your presence becomes a place where softness can breathe. And once someone feels that their softness is safe with you, their heart may open faster than expected, not because you forced it, but because you removed the fear around it. Love begins to feel possible when tenderness is no longer treated like a weakness, but protected like something precious, rare, human, and worthy of being handled with patience every single time, even when emotions feel uncertain and raw. Quiet loyalty creates stronger attachment than loud promises. Quiet loyalty creates stronger attachment than loud promises because the heart learns to trust what stays, not what performs. Loud promises can sound beautiful in the moment. They can make someone feel chosen, wanted, and emotionally lifted. But if those promises are not followed by steady behavior, they begin to feel empty. The words may be remembered, but the disappointment becomes louder. Quiet loyalty works differently. It does not need an audience. It does not constantly announce itself. It shows in the small ways someone protects the bond when no one is watching. It is the person who speaks well of you when you are absent. It is the one who keeps your secrets safe. It is the one who remains respectful during frustration, consistent during distance, and honest when lying would be easier. This kind of loyalty creates deep attachment because it gives love emotional weight. The person begins to feel that your care is not just a mood or performance. It is part of your character. They do not have to keep wondering if your affection disappears when circumstances change. Your loyalty becomes something they can feel through repeated evidence. In love, quiet loyalty can become more powerful than dramatic declarations because it makes the nervous system rest. It proves that devotion does not always need to be loud to be real. Sometimes, the most meaningful love is the one that keeps choosing respect in ordinary moments. And once someone experiences quiet loyalty from you, they may attach deeply. They begin to trust not only what you say, but what your presence keeps proving. That kind of loyalty becomes difficult to forget because it feels steady, private, protective, patient, and stronger than words spoken only during emotion or pressure alone. People remember the ones who made them feel safe during their weakest moments. People remember the ones who made them feel safe during their weakest moments because weakness reveals who can be trusted with truth. It is easy to be loved when you are confident, cheerful, useful, attractive, or strong, but everyone eventually reaches moments where their voice shakes, their hope feels tired, their emotions spill over, or their strength no longer knows how to stand. In those moments, the heart becomes highly sensitive. It notices who stays gentle. It notices who becomes impatient. It notices who listens without making the pain feel embarrassing. It notices who protects dignity when the person has nothing impressive left to show. These memories do not disappear easily because they are formed when someone feels most exposed. When you make a person feel safe during weakness, you give them something deeper than comfort. You give them proof that they do not have to be perfect to remain worthy of care. They do not have to hide their broken voice. They do not have to apologize for needing support. They do not have to turn pain into something neat before it can be accepted. In love, this kind of safety creates powerful attachment. The person begins to feel that your care reaches beyond convenience. You are not only present for their bright side, you can hold the heavy side too. And once someone remembers you as the person who stayed gentle during their weakest moment, your place in their heart changes. You become connected to survival, relief, and emotional shelter. They may forget many conversations, but they will not forget who made them feel human when they felt most fragile, unseen, uncertain, ashamed, tired, afraid, and desperate for kindness that did not make them smaller. Love becomes unforgettable when peace feels personal. Love becomes unforgettable when peace feels personal because the deepest connections do not only calm the moment, they calm the person in a way that feels made for them. General kindness is beautiful, but personal peace reaches differently. It is when someone understands the exact tone that softens you, the silence that comforts you, the words that reassure you, and the kind of presence that helps your heart stop defending itself. This kind of peace feels intimate because it is not random. It shows that someone has paid attention to your inner world. They know when to speak and when to stay quiet. They know what overwhelms you, what steadies you, what makes you withdraw, and what helps you return. Their care feels shaped by understanding, not copied from a script. Many people go through life receiving comfort that does not quite fit. Others may mean well, but they rush, advise, dismiss, or misunderstand. So when someone brings peace in a way that matches your emotional needs, it leaves a deep mark. You feel known, not just helped. You feel held in a way that speaks directly to your hidden places. In love, personal peace creates attachment because it makes someone feel rare to your nervous system. Their presence does not feel like ordinary calm. It feels like calm that recognizes you, calm that understands your history, calm that knows how to touch your heart without frightening it. And once peace feels personal through someone, they become hard to replace. You do not only miss their love, You miss the exact way their presence made your inner world feel safe when everything else felt too loud, too heavy, too uncertain, and too difficult to carry alone inside your own tired chest at night.